You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line.
Do not forget. Expect us.
This is a message to all supporters. A message to all freedom fighters, to all dissenters, to all forgotten. A call to all intellectuals, to all journalists. A call to all freethinkers. A call for intelligence. This is a call to all poets. A call to the strong and the weak. A call to all young people. To the wise, to the astucious. We want you to join us. We are on the streets of Tokyo. In the skyscrapers of New York. In the lanes of Paris. In the cellars of Munich. On Moscow's icy places. On the cobbled streets of Dublin. This is a call to all people. To the youth. Join us in the fight for freedom of information. Search for us, and you will find us. We are among you. We are you. Everyone you speak with can be a member of Anonymous. We have no leaders, only an orientation. We have no targets, only results. You cannot stop us, because we are an idea. We cannot be eliminated, because we are invisible. If you try to mock us, we will mock ourselves. If you try to slander us, we will accept the defamation. We are the king's gestures with daggers. We are the dancing bear which tears to pieces the laughing mob. We are anonymous. We are a legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us, just as we expect you.
councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
We are live.
Oh, shoot. Window capture. This one. I gotta remove this. All right, and welcome to Anonymous Bites Back, episode 150. I am sorry for all of this stuff on our screen. I didn't realize that it was there.
We've got so much going on at the moment.
Yeah. We do have a special guest, David Strider, right?
Yes.
Yes,
correct.
And I do kind of want to talk about what happened this morning. We did spend a majority of the show last week talking about Julian Assange, and that we were telling people to get to the embassy because we thought that something was going to happen. And then, if you guys haven't been following the news, Julian Assange was arrested at the embassy in violation of what his agreements of what. Well, anyway, besides the mumbo jumbo of what the current administration of Ecuador is saying happened at the embassy, I believe that he was, he was removed because of some bullshit. But what I'm more concerned right now is not the fact that he is detained in the United Kingdom. It's more along the lines of them handing him off to the United States.
Well, he's found guilty. He was found guilty of dodging bail.
Yeah. So I mean, he's already. It's not. I mean, I wouldn't be.
The judge was an absolute joke.
Yeah, I mean, he's on. Like, I would bet money he's on his way to the U.S. already. I mean, it's not like it's a joke to they're trying to figure out whatever. No, they wanted him and they sent him. Like, that's it. This is such. I mean, it's kangaroo court tyrannical bullshit. Like, more than obvious. You guys are mad that Adrian Assange, posted information about your illegal war, your murdering of children, or your fake rigged elections. And he's the bad guy?
Well, you know what sparked this, what a lot of people didn't know, is that the current Ecuadorian president was thought that WikiLeaks had published the INA papers, which is kind of why the current president of Ecuador is under investigation for doing a lot of bad shit, but they didn't do it.
That's bullshit, though, because the day before, yesterday, WikiLeaks came out and said that Ecuador spied on Julian.
Yeah.
And that blackmail ended up in the hands of unknown individuals within South America. So, I mean, like, what's going on here? I mean, one day after they're exposed, they decide that they're going to arrest him.
Well, and
one day after.
It's things that they already know. If you notice, like, over these last couple of days, they've been, there's been the, like, sweet talk between Trump and the UK, right? He keeps on posting on Twitter, all this pro-UK, pro-Brexit crap. All of this was, moved to what we saw was happening here.
Well, you saw how the Parliament reacted when Julian was arrested. So this is all part of a larger dynamic plan. He was the gift.
Speeches, they all had pre-written speeches. Prepared for their, their support of what's trying to silence the media, trying to silence journalists. Mm-hmm. I love how the corporate news is confused on whether WikiLeaks is news media or not. They're the only ones that are confused on that. But you look in every single one of their stories, they try to make it sound like WikiLeaks isn't actual news. When they're the people that they're pretty much the only network to post any actual relevant news, right, in my lifetime.
Yeah,
name another organization that exposed the corruption inside of the military-industrial complex.
That's because WikiLeaks has done a better job than them about times 1,000.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the deal. But they act like
they've actually revealed corruption. Corporate news doesn't reveal corruption. Corporate news just cuddles the corruption.
I've heard 3-4 of these like puppets on TV, on CNN, and fucking like just constantly. Well, is it?
Yeah,
Do you think that that's considered continuity? Of course. Like what? None of the stories that you're talking about, none of the prosecutions that are going on in our government because of all sorts of corruption, all stem from this group of people that took a stand, and definitely Julian is one of them. This is just so bogus.
Well, they're bootlickers.
Yeah, I also have a recommendation to our viewers. If you guys are listening to the news media in the United States, all of them don't listen to them.
Unplug the TV.
Don't listen to any of them.
The
all I can
revolution will
recommend
not be televised.
All I can recommend is the only media outlets that are covering the truth about what is going on with Julian Assange is the independent media and RT. They're the only ones pushing the narrative. That Julian is not what they say that is.
They're calling him a criminal hacker now for trying to break a password.
He's a criminal hacker. But even that, like their thing, the indictment here in the States is that he caused several agents to have to be withdrawn because that their names were mentioned or something like that, which didn't happen. But even then, like you're bitching to me that you had to withdraw your agents from your illegal war. Like, man, he really fucked up our murder deal we had going on, and I'm supposed to feel bad about that?
You know what?
Man, he really fucked up.
Sure, Dave. You can come in.
Yeah, of course.
I've been following Julian Assange. I appreciated what he did. Okay, I didn't know a whole lot about the man, but I just know what he did. And have you noticed that when you catch a child with their hand in the cookie jar, they didn't do it. They weren't there. They didn't do it. And from an early age, we see children lying, and it's now you can tell the ones who are politicians who did all the lying in their childhood. I want to get back to where I want to go with this, and that is when we commit crimes, when we allow our government and we vote for our government and we support that government like Trump is an answer to God's prayers. When we do that, we are complicit in everything that man does. The children being separated from their parents. How would you? And then they talk about, no, you can't have an abortion because you'll be separating the child from the mother before it goes full term. And you can't be doing that. We have to have a set of standards for humanity in order for humanity to have a social network that actually works for everyone and not just those who want to be kings and queens. Because I am a son of the American Revolution. Cornwallis surrendered at my grandmother's house. There in Yorktown, it's called the Moore House. Lydia, she married into the family. Okay, best move she ever made. Best move my grandfather ever made. But anyway, we got rid of the king there. Benedict Arnold was a traitor. He escaped. He didn't get hung or shot like most traitors should. And when you take finances from multinational corporations and you do not do the will of the people, but you do the bidding of those guys who have the billions of dollars that you just gave them tax breaks for, and you let the people starve, you let the people go hungry, you let the people be poisoned with water, you let the reservations, the first people who actually know how to take care of the earth, be run off their sacred territories desecrated, and then radioactive waste put on their reservations. Then you have their reservations be in eminent domain. Then you have radioactive waste from a presidential candidate, Kamala Harris, allowing nuke waste outside the gates of Camp Pendleton. You allow the people, over 900,000 to record, poisoned at Camp Lejeune. I'm one of them. It's just an atrocity that we allow these corporations to do. Can we boycott these corporations? I hope you have a garden. If you do, I hope you know different work. I mean, not everybody is tradesmen. We have let ourselves sink into the society, oh my God, I'm so grateful. And I don't want to know about it because it'll take away from what I got. Guess what? You ain't got nothing because you're begging for what you do have. That is not living. When you have to beg your government to do what you need, health care. Don't send me to war. I mean,
just give me health care.
I'm part of that. I am part. Hey, listen, I did an interview with Steve Grumbine 3 days before the primary here in Washington, and I laid out how single-payer health care using MMT It's fiat monetary standard practice. That's the actual workings of MMT. MMT is the education, but fiat standard monetary practice is the actual application that our representatives use against us. So, because look at it, $1.4 trillion. Oh my God, and they're going to cut some more. I won't touch this and I won't touch that. They are committing high treason against our government, against the people that they took an oath to protect and defend it. And I call on every active duty serviceman, I call on every veteran to take a look at what you said that day when you became a United States serviceman or woman. And it said to protect against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And now I included multinational corporations. And when they lead us into a war like they did in Vietnam, when they lead us into Nicaragua, when we do regime changes, when they overturn the will of a president, Jimmy Carter, and so Ronald Reagan can be elected, that is treason. When Hillary Clinton did what she did with the DNC, that's treason. When Trump does what he does, that's treason. When he breaks down these barriers, this nuclear arms deal, or the missile, and all this, what do we have that is protecting us? They've already got their bunkers. That 1% is what, maybe 5,000 or 6,000 people, and they expect the people, the mutants that survived the nuclear holocaust or the global warming, are going to do their bidding. I hope they got a lot of ammunition. And what's this?
They do. They do.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I know they've been collecting it for years.
They just bought like 17 billion
I pride myself being a Marine.
You got to look at what happened with FDR and the whole business plot. I mean, that carried on years later, and it carried on through the military-industrial complex, as Eisenhower warned.
Well, and if you looked, what Adrian Assange was the book he was carrying when he was arrested. When
Julian Assange was arrested. Yeah,
Gore Vidal's. Oh goodness, what's the name of the book that he was reading?
Oh God, I just saw it on my Twitter feed. I completely forgot.
Oh, that's the one hit. That's what.
No. This is
what Trump reads.
Yeah, this is
It's a book on national security.
Yeah, and it's a book on national security, the military-industrial complex, how it got, you came to power and how it gets used against us today. And I mean, this is the military-industrial complex in full swing. Look, the things that WikiLeaks posted, right, exposed the corruption that was going on in Iraq. So exposed some really horrible stuff. Child murders, right? The drone footage that you're watching is them cutting down children. Right, and that's what they're mad.
Well, they also murdered journalists
too. You couldn't do it anymore, right? They expect us to somehow. I don't know how we can rationalize that someone exposing that is somehow a bad person, and the people that are doing it are good people.
Well, that's what I'm going to be talking to the veterans in my campaign for U.S. Congress. And that is how many of you are secure in your retirement. They don't need us no more. Okay? It's only a matter of time before that's gone. You took an oath to protect and defend this nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and yet we are going to defend what? We are going to steal what from who? We are getting ready to do what? We allow genocide in Gaza. We allow genocide in Yemen. We allow genocide everywhere we sell arms to. And now
look what just happened with Iran this week.
Allow would be different. We profit from it. There is a huge difference between that. Going back and saying, hey, this isn't my problem, this isn't my country, that's one thing. But we sell arms. We make money from those genocides, right? That's the difference. It's not just enough when you could say, oh, well, there's nothing that I can do. Guns are sold, this and that. We specifically give people weapons knowing that they're going to do horrible stuff for profit. That's completely different.
I'd much rather have good non-genetic modified seed, farming equipment, irrigation equipment, healthcare for all than war. A mother cries her child.
There's a lot more things that you could do that are actually positive. With
literally
the government just doesn't want to do
literally
anything.
So literally anything. It would be better to do nothing at all.
I petition you, gentlemen, to find ourselves a friendly judge, and I'll talk to him because I want to arrest these SOBs. I petition you, gentlemen.
Sorry.
Oh, we're getting some
Oh,
feedback.
wow.
Sorry, I was doing some editing in the background. My bad.
Because I want to prosecute with extreme prejudice the acts of treason. I don't care if you did it or not. If you allowed it, then you are complicit.
Now, I've always asked this.
Look at John Bolton. He admitted on TV.
And if they kill me, I died fighting for my country and trying to protect the citizens. I have no problem. I'm 67 years old this year. I am not afraid of dying. I gave that up a long time ago when I enlisted in the Marine Corps. Okay.
Well, apparently they have all these judges. You can't seem to find one. I mean,
the good,
many
good judges
groups
are hard
that,
to find.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to happen. So then you're falling back to what's always laughed at as, we call them not vigilantes, but the
activist judges.
No, because they're not judges still. It falls back to the people to decide what's right. And you only do that through citizen grand jury, something along those lines. But then that's laughed at as like a constitutional remedy. So, in their system, you don't have a remedy. You don't get to say anything. You get to sit down and shut up.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you look at things like real obvious now, like the marijuana bills that are coming through, the people have spoken, right? You can't go to a state where, it's 87% medical marijuana. People are pro-medical marijuana, right? 67% that are pro-recreational marijuana. But you can't get the government to do the will of the people, no matter how bad they support it.
Terrence, I have a good friend of mine who's now out of country and helping other nations reorganize their hemp production for CBD. Mm-hmm. And he was very big activist here in the country, here in Washington, helped him get the legalization for rec and medical here. He has been filling me with feeds on what's going on. And from what I understand, the way they're testing the hemp products now, it turns it into THC. It actually heats it up and creates THC instead of a liquid or something like that. And so they want big money. They found out what it does. Well, in 1977, 78, when I was trying to legalize marijuana for therapeutic use in the Marine Corps, I wrote a letter to Henry Kissinger and William F. Buckley. And it was about how we could raise money. $250 billion a year in 1978 dollars was a whole lot of money. And, but yeah, it amounted to, based on 1 in 4, we could afford at that time to do it. But it was a unconstitutional law, and FDR signed it into practice, which segregated the people of this nation. It was unconstitutional. It was levied against people of color. It was a slap in the face on our Constitution.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Well, that's what you see. That's what you see now.
We had
if you were a kid that was selling dime bags, right, they put you in life for prison. If you're the CEO of wherever the fuck now, right, you're selling millions and millions of pounds of fucking hemp, right, then you're fine. Rex Tillerson grows weed now, right, for making money from the prison industrial complex and growing weed at the same time. Like, if that's not a kick in the teeth. If you were black and got caught with weed, you go to prison. If you're white and you get caught with weed, you open up your own weed business. Easy.
But you know how many people of color, black men and women who got arrested for that?
I think all of them.
That is
like all of them. When it comes to like New York, how many people were stop and frisked? The entire black population of New York was stop and frisked 4 times.
Well, guess what? That's where we start reparations. That's where we start reparations for people of color. Is with the 1937 cannabis restrictions. Those people convicted after 1937 and did time in prison, even if they're not alive, their families, their family tree, guess what? Those people will get a reparation for the damage, for the unlawful arrest, unlawful imprisonment, for an unconstitutional law. And that's what I did in 1978. I actually did change the UCMJ because of what I did. I had my commanding general says, Sergeant, if I gave you an order to stop, would you stop? And I said, sir, that is an order I would hope you never give. And he said, well, what will we do? I said, sir, I think that I should resign. Would you accept my resignation? I didn't get charged with anything, although I got busted with 150 plants out in the civilian world. You know? And there's a great story in that too, because guess what? I pled guilty and I got charged with a minor misdemeanor. I got a $350 fine and 3 years probation. Probation suspended upon payment of the fine. No comment.
We wouldn't have. You know, when I was growing up, you definitely would not got to that deal. Like no,
I would.
Yeah,
I was a 25-year-old Marine at the time, working for the Judge Advocate General, sitting in the judge's chambers, scheduling court martials. They were grooming me to be a prosecutor, and when they told me they wanted me to be a prosecutor, I knew that I couldn't do it. I had to make a step. I had to acknowledge the fact that I use it medically 4 times a day, and I was an excellent to outstanding Marine. I had no problems in the JAG, you know, but I couldn't go and prosecute men and women who would be caught with a trace. And I took a stand, and it cost me a career in the Corps. So, you know, I'm used to giving shit up, okay? I'm used to fighting for what's right, no matter what the consequences are. But damn it, don't get on my bad side, because I am not a pretty motherfucker when I get in your face. I'm looking for a lobbyist to come into my office once I'm elected and a new freshman. I'm looking for a lobbyist to come in and say, well, that's not the way we do it, Congressman. I said, no. And as I put my arm around him and we walk out, well, how do you propose? What do you want me to do? Well, we'd like for you to do this, this, and this, and we'd like to compensate you this way. And that's when I grabbed the mother by his tie and dragged him through the halls of the United States Congress and let the people know that this traitorous son of a bitch just petitioned me to with a bribe, and this scuzzy ass needs to be arrested for treason and trying to commit treason against the American people, and I'm not letting go of his fucking tie until you do. I'll choke this.
I would pay so much money for that.
Hey, listen, I don't go anywhere without the press now.
Hey, guys, you know, good props on we're having a pretty good viewer count, so keep it up.
Well, yeah, definitely. This is I've known, you know, I won't lie to you guys. I've known Dave for about 4 years now, if I'm not mistaken. And this is Dave. He is the only politician that I have ever met that is the real deal. He's what I imagine our founding fathers were like.
Well, you know, who was it? Give me liberty or give me death. I mean, you know. Don't fuck with me.
I mean, there's been a few, but they've all been taken out.
Well, I won't. You know,
Larry P. McDonald. You know, Senator. What was the other one?
I've been threatened several times. You know, physically with violence. My family's been threatened. All of that stuff. And like, you know, Dave was one of the people that I went to kind of see how the fuck do I deal with this. For that very reason. So I mean, he really is the real deal, which kind of brings us to, you know, why we brought you on tonight. Some of the information about your dealings with the VA in a event that happened with some release of information that shouldn't have been released, a bunch of personal information that was released. And yeah, I want to make sure that gets the airwaves so people know when they make this big excuse like, oh, we have no idea how these people got a hold of your social security numbers and your addresses and all your personal information. Well, it's because you're sending boxes of it to people you don't know in the mail.
Yeah. It's just everywhere now, though, man.
Well, I mean, it's not like they didn't have to do anything. You literally, you know, it's lucky that Dave got a hold of it, right? That someone with integrity, that a senatorial candidate got a hold of it, and not somebody that intended evil with it. You know, imagine that you walk in and say, look, man, I've got 10,000 records from veterans. Who wants it? Social security numbers, addresses, date of births, you know what I mean? Military records, you can take out loans, you can get credit cards, right? Every little bit of information that you need, right? Who's up? How much is that worth on the black market? It's lucky that was sent to somebody. Yeah. It's lucky that it went to you. So yeah, I'm going to actually let you kind of, you know, tell the story. I don't want to get over it, but we are there's several other news organizations that are in it, but this is a breaking story that really isn't being covered.
Yeah. That's true. Thank you, Terrence. And it's a pleasure to be here with all of you guys tonight. You know, I don't know how many women are with us tonight, but, you know, kudos to the ladies for being an active part of a revolutionary movement. I am a son of the American Revolution, so yeah, I'm going to be a revolutionary. Okay, I may not say things. That's what I do. I may not be what everybody wants, but guess what? I will be honest with you. This all started back on the 22nd of March when it was they tried to deliver it to me first. UPS tried to deliver this to me first. March 25th, they brought the box back, and they just dropped it on the porch.
Now, just to be clear, this is a box full of veterans information.
Yes, sir. It certainly is. And so I thought it was my records. It was just a Dave Strider, my address and everything, UPS label, printed out and everything. So I opened it up, and right there on top was a copy of the letter that I received 2 hours earlier from the United States Postal Service. The same letter on top of that box. And so I went going through that, thinking that was just the last information that they sent out, part of my records. And then I started noticing guys, records, names of people and addresses that were on the East Coast. I am not in the East Coast Division. I am on the Western Division. And why I was with those other men and women, veterans, I don't know. But I will tell you this, and I'm going to give a plug for myself right now. I fight for vets.us. I fight for vets.us. And
now we've got some theories here on why you guys were all lumped together in that one box. So these, you, as well as yourself, as well as other Marines that were stationed there at the same time during training, were exposed to harmful chemicals, benzene products that were stored improperly, ammunition that was stored improperly.
Just so the audience knows. Benzene is a product that's known to cause cancer. It says on the side of the can will cause cancer.
Right, and this was, it was stored improperly. Marines were exposed to it. It was in the water supply, as well as other chemicals. That the camp is like a toxic waste dump at this point. The lead bullets that they were using were also leaching into the environment. So there's several reasons why these group of soldiers that were there at the time were all looped together, which is why somebody may have been trying to expose something underneath there, and we just haven't gotten all the way to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why you were lumped together in this East Coast group of soldiers that trained at the same time as you did.
Yes, yeah, and I believe that. I was there for 4 years, from 74 to 78. And I was on the Fat Man Squad, okay? I didn't have to do any inspections, everything, but I was ordered by this one to go to this battalion inspection. And I had all my stuff in the wall locker the way it's supposed to be, pristine, dust go in there every now and then and dust it off and clean it. And battalion commander said, here, pulled out a pair of trousers and said, here, put these on. I couldn't get them up over my hips, so I got put on the Fat Man Squad, and I had 6 weeks to lose the weight. And so I'm going in and drinking a lot of water every day. I'm going into the steam room, and we got the steam rolling in there. This is the benzene steam, and I'm breathing the stuff in. I've been diagnosed with COPD, and I had a kidney removed in 2018 while running for U.S. Senate. I went in there at 7:30 in the morning, got out of recovery. 24 hours later, I was off of opioids. Hoorah. 24 hours after that, I was home, back in trying to run a campaign. And but no post-op complications, no nothing. The VA is very good. It is the blueprint for America's single-payer health care. It is the blueprint on single-payer health care for the United States of America. And I received the best care, no prescription costs, no copays, no premiums, none of that. And I get the best care. I wait no longer than it does for somebody to go out there. And if I run across a vet who says especially I ran across some candidates that way in 2018, well, I'm against the vet. I'm all for privatization. I said, well, you know what? That was the dumbest thing you could ever say to me. I said, now you have got yourself the worst enemy. I said, I hope you and I are in the general because I will feed you to the fish. And he backed off. I mean, he did. But that's how adamant I am about it. And when our government intentionally let us be poisoned. And when officers, field command, general.
It's not just that you're poisoned. It's that they're knowing, it's not just that something happens accidentally. They know that they're poisoned. And when you say, hey, I went in and took the shower, we know from Flint that all of these things are even worse when you're breathing them into your lungs, right? It's been atomized. Yes. And you're getting it into your bloodstream in a way that, when they tested it, a little bit of skin exposure, no big deal. But when you're turning it into that vapor and breathing it in, that makes a whole difference. Things are absorbed directly into your body. And we kind of fast forward today. Right. Yeah, we fast forward today where the Marine Training Base right now is still recovering from the hurricanes. Right, soldiers are living in tents. Right at on Marine bases because the funding never came. Right, they're not repairing these buildings. There's mold in them, and the current administration asked Marine Corps leadership if they were at 100%, fight capable, and of course he said, yes, sir, we're at 100% capable. It's the fucking Marines, man. They're always 100% capable. The fact that they're living in tents outside is the problem.
Yeah, well, that just goes to show you, mounting out is that much easier. And to bring up a hurricane, which reminds me of Maria, which hit the Puerto Rico, right after, within days after it passed and they had some type of power, somebody had sent me a letter from Puerto Rico, a woman, and she wanted to volunteer, bilingual. She wanted to help. I can do this, I can do that. Talented woman. And I told her, I says, you know what? She told me, she says, the casualty rate is higher than what they say. The damage is higher than what they say. In about 30 days, 35 days from that, about a month later, no more communication. I couldn't reach her either.
Oh, we were threatened. So, I mean, you guys know we broke that story, and we were actively threatened for telling them, look, every morgue and every hospital that we've went to is packed. They can't fit any more bodies in.
Oh yeah, remember what happened 3 years in the VA in Illinois where they had rats that were eating the corpses at the morgue?
Oh, I mean, I believe it, but this has to do with the body count in Puerto Rico that they were saying, 20 people died. And we're saying, look, man, it is thousands. Every single hospital we get, and they had came through, the government, U.S. officials had came through and threatened the doctors inside of the hospital with their jobs. And you would get doctors to, they'd show us around, but they wouldn't talk to us, directly into the camera, only with their backs turned. And they would give us these numbers and then literally say, look, man, you didn't hear it from me. Right? We would get to walk around. You would see. I mean, people were stacked like fucking corkwood.
You know what the people at the VA tell me when I talk to them about what I'm doing? They say, David, don't stop. Don't stop. We need you to continue to fight for us. Don't stop what you're doing. So yeah, there's retribution to people who are hired, and when you get my take on this, gentlemen, is this: I don't think anybody should be working at the VA unless you're a veteran or a spouse or a survivor of a veteran. Period, because. To be quite honest, I don't trust anybody who never served or took the oath when it comes to taking care of the needs of the people. That's just how laser focused I am on these SOBs. When they take and they hurt people, and I mean, they're going after the aged. This new flu, this new mandate that New York put out there, telling people that you have to or you'll get fined. That is a precursor of taking vaccinations that are designed, and you can't tell me that they can't design a medication or an injection, but designed to do what? To take out a person, a certain genetic portrait, if you got these genes, guess what? You're going to be part of that group, and if you're over 50, it's going to kill you too. So I mean. You can design medicine to do that.
Well, I mean, our government in general does have a weird, sick, obsession with eugenics. And
yes.
over and over and over again.
Since the 20s.
They're always trying to kill one group of us off for one fucking reason or another. And they're always thinking up new and weird ways to try to do it. They're always trying to sterilize this group for one reason or another. It's just something that our government, until we make laws saying that they cannot do it, will continue to do. It's some of you see this over and over until we make laws, and I mean permanent laws that say you cannot use our media as propaganda. They're going to continue to do it until we make a law that says you cannot set up a false flag. They're going to continue to do it. These laws that we act like, oh, well, there's nothing that's stopping it from doing it because there's no law. We have to make those laws. When it comes back to kind of bring it back to Julian Assange, we need to make laws to protect whistleblowers, to protect our media. For this very reason, because if there isn't a law that specifically says,
because it was a whistleblower it was a whistleblower that told me about what was happening in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and if those people don't have protections, then you get these groups. Of course, they can come and threaten you. You've got no protection.
I've been trying to reach this person. I mean, Terrence, if you want her email address and telephone number, if you can find her, great. But I'll surrender that because I am really concerned about her well-being, her welfare,
send us the information, and we will, and we'll see. Because I do have a lot of people. I mean, across Puerto Rico at this moment, because we're preparing for this next hurricane season. It's coming, guys. Yeah. This isn't like it happens once
and they're still not ready. They're still not ready.
Yeah, we had a. Well, I'm not going to mention who it was, but we did have a guy on the ground who is no longer with this show. But yeah.
There's been, I mean, this is a trauma that is like ongoing. And then, like I said, you got the fear. We are months away from the next hurricane season and we're back to square one, right? The power is still just cobbled together. They didn't come through and put solar and wind generators everywhere. They didn't put water from air systems everywhere. So, I mean, we're just waiting to get fucked over again.
Yeah.
Forget the hurricanes, man. Did you see the news last week of the Chinese spy arrested?
Yeah, you know what? I was talking to my coworker at work about that, and he's like, what do you mean some like Chinese person walked into a Trump resort? And I'm like, yeah, dude, he had fucking like the lady had like a hard drive.
It was a woman.
Yeah,
it was a woman, and she's well known. Like, this isn't even her first trip to Mar-a-Lago. She's got all kinds of pictures with celebrities and Trump himself. She's well known there, and came in with this. It seems like I don't know what the hell was going on.
I think President for Life would be a great idea. We should try it sometime.
Well, it's one of these things that I don't understand because she's allowed to walk in with her phone. Trump has an unsecured iPad. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't do it with the USB, and the fact that the Secret Service was like, oh, well, we plugged her USB in, and it immediately started uploading a file, and then what did you do? Rip it out real quick? Did you just upload? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck have you done? If that really was a Chinese spy, you plugged it into your unsecured computer.
It was most likely a worm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you just infected you are Skynet. You just infected the entire government computers.
Yeah, that's very possible. I mean,
that's how a lot of InfoSec does it. They accidentally put something to a USB.
That's not how you would go about it, right? You wouldn't do it through USB. You would do it through wireless when you came in, knowing that the president posts from a fucking unsecured Apple device every day.
Yeah,
you could literally hack his shit from the street side when the motorcade goes by.
You mean sign in as the real Donald Trump?
Oh, I can guarantee you he has the stupidest password ever. Totally guessing.
Yeah, admin.
No. It's probably "you're fired."
Trumptastic. Nobody will ever expect it.
That's right. Nobody will ever will. I have to. I want to bring this back to the VA real quick. I'm a very strong proponent of the VA. I'm anti.
Corporate influence, privatization. Can you name an industry that was privatized that turned out like a good deal for us? Just one.
The U.S. Postal Service. It's not been privatized. It's not been privatized yet. I said one against all their stuff.
One that was privatized that worked out for us.
I can't think of anything.
There isn't one. It was a trick question.
Yeah, I know. Nixon gave us insurance for hire. He gave us the EPA, and Trump took it away. The
guy Trump put in charge of the EPA is a joke.
Yeah,
absolute joke.
Are we still at Rick Perry? Who's the guy we put in this time? Wasn't Rick Perry head of the EPA?
No, Rick Perry actually believes that there is global warming now.
He's Department of Energy.
There we go, Department of Energy. They put him in charge of the one department that he couldn't remember that he wanted to undo in the debate.
The old man had to remind him.
No, my favorite, I just have to say, my favorite was watching Ron Paul back there, just because Ron Paul wants to close everything, all of it, right? So Rick Perry's desperately trying to remember Department of Energy, and Ron Paul is just spitting off a department after department after department after department, and Rick is trying to balance that. Now, come on, man, just give me a second. I'll remember. It was fucking hilarious.
Well, I want to close with the unless there's questions about the VA. I'd like to close this with the Veterans Administration. A comment about the Veterans Administration. The Veterans Administration is suffering from not having full funding. I look at this paperwork and everything that I received as possible, a plea to help us get full funding. We can have $800 billion and a lot of dark money going to our military, but we can't give the VA, who's supposed to take care of us for the rest of our lives, we can't give them the tool that they need to keep us alive. I mean, the VA has come up with a lot of things, the smoking patch, prosthetics, and everything else. And we want to take that away and privatize it? No. We go and we fight your wars. We took an oath to protect and defend this nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And now it's multi-corporation. I did not take an oath to go to war.
Wow.
Holy
political arena where we were fighting wars for profit. And when you do that to a veteran who laid their life on the law, and some of them who come back maimed, some of them who have, with just living, who have committed an act of treason against the men and women of this nation. And by doing so, you have sentenced yourself. You've already sentenced yourself, asshole. You have sentenced yourself to forfeiture of all material, financial goods. Penniless. You're going to lose your citizenship. And you're going to be lucky if we don't shoot you in the back on the way out of this country. That's just how I feel about the way veterans are being treated. That's just how I feel. And all I can say is, I need help getting elected to U.S. Congress, because I'm going to be the asshole with the wall locker up on the stage. And they'll say, Congressman Strider, what's that wall locker for? You get out of hand, I'm going to pick your ass up and turn you upside down and leave you in there so everybody can hear you crying like a baby girl.
Oh, God.
It's better than non-judicial punishment.
Yeah, I mean, there is, there was treason is the real deal.
When I was
we're losing packets. Something terrible here.
Yeah, I apologize for interrupting there.
No, I think we're having some connection troubles on your side, and
he can switch off the audio or the video rather.
I think his it kind of sounds like he's either too far from an access point or
just having some drop.
Catch up. Yeah,
some drop
right here. Right here on my microphone.
Yeah, it's fine now.
Well, you see, the problem is that they can't use dirty money to give it to the VA, because then they would get caught money laundering.
Let's take veterans homelessness, right? Can you just launder some fucking houses for us? You still get to make the money off of the fucking real estate deal. We only need 20,000 houses. That's some serious cash, guys.
It sure is. And what about the vets who lost their homes while they were deployed?
You want to hear something like fucked up, like, because a little bit about myself. I do work in the healthcare industry, and I had
I like hearing stories that are fucked up.
Yeah, I had a patient about 6 months ago who was suffering from extreme PTSD, and we finally got him on the right medications because he went to us besides going to the VA. And I said, well, what was the VA doing? And he says, well, I kind of like talked to a doctor for like a minute, and then he handed me a whole bunch of fucking pills. And I was like, well, what did he give you? He's like, gabapentin and Zoloft. And I said, holy shit, you're on the wrong fucking shit, like for PTSD. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, they give them, they literally give them minimal care. And I was like, dude, you should not be going to a medical doctor for psychiatric issues. You should be handed off to a psychiatrist,
Well, remember, like, our generation, like, understands PTSD. The VA just recently even admitted that PTSD was done. Desert Storm 1 vets, right, had to go back and, like, they've been complaining of it, and they're telling you, look, you're just having mental problems. It wasn't even something they paid you for. PTSD wasn't real until our generation, until Desert Storm 2. Or until, until we invaded the second time. If you went into the VA until until late 2000s, then they just tell you, oh, well, man, sorry. What are you, a pussy?
I'm sorry.
You got nightmares? Oh, that's too bad.
I'm in the hospital. They're at American Legs in Seattle. Okay? I've got good stories about the VA, too. But I also know that there are divisions in the VA, especially the psychiatric departments, that are overworked. And in fact, they've even closed down some shops here in the Northwest. And what do? They give them the pills, gabapentin, and the other stuff.
Yep.
And it's not that they don't want to. It's just that they give them quotas, just like you're selling cars. Okay. You have to have so many cars, so you have to be able to. And that's what some of these divisions are experiencing, Terrence. That's what they're experiencing.
They'll go and they'll know what if you've got a heart problem or if you've got psychiatric problems, they can have a drug that works great, but they can't get it through the VA. They have like a set of drugs that you can prescribe for these, for these issues. And like, let's say that you need a bigger or smaller amount. Well, they can't actually, if you were going to a normal medical facility, they give you what you need.
But see, the thing is,
you need to cut a pill in quarters and you know what I mean? Like all of this stuff, rather than give you the actual dosage that you need or actual medication that you need.
But see, the thing is, Terrence, is like the thing from a medical perspective is that PTSD is a psychological problem that works with psychiatry in conjunction with medication. So he needs
shell shock.
He needs reinforcement from a person.
That's exactly what you said there. They would write down shell shock all the way up
or
until
battle fatigue.
Battle fatigue, shell shock, and these were outs for the VA. Then they didn't have to pay you for that. The fact that, thousands, every single veteran that came back from World War II had PTSD, and they were not treated for it. They were not given medication for it. They weren't given training, anything, just sent back into the world. Vietnam, the same thing. Desert Storm 1, the same thing, all the way up till this generation. It's insanity.
Yeah, and look how long it took for these and the Gulf War. Wasn't it in Iraq? We buried Agent Orange.
I've
heard stories about burying it because there were Iraqi they're veterans of Operation Freedom. And
what I heard that they were testing is what I heard is that they were using a lot of anthrax and they were testing some sort of anthrax vaccine that wasn't proven by the FDA to even handle it, nor was it proven to be not toxic to the body. So what they did is they gave the soldiers the injection anyway, and then they told them if they didn't take the injection that they would be a deserter or they
Whoa. You're telling me that the U.S. government used soldiers as guinea pigs?
Yes, they did. During the Gulf War, they did.
The U.S. government also used citizens as guinea pigs with Operation LAC. Yeah.
Let's not forget the deep south
chemicals in the air, making people breathe them in and seeing what they would do.
What?
It's like, what? No, what do you think it's going to do? What do you think it's going to do? Give them cancer? Maybe
I hear all of these crazy
burn their insides?
theories. Next thing you're going to tell me, they're like picking people up and filling them full of drugs. You know what I mean? This is crazy talk with LSD.
What if?
This is crazy talk.
I'd like to give you something. I'd like to give you something here. What if that box was a list of people who have fairly good health, who would also be good organ donors?
Oh, I can think. Look, if the government is,
let's just get dark here. Let's get dark and macabre here for a minute. That box was full of veterans who have pretty good health, their address, their physical address, and let's say somebody needed a pair of lungs, and they're a non-smoker. The vet is a non-smoker, and their lungs are in good shape. Well, they go there, harvesters, body harvesters. You hear about it all the time. What if that box was full of people who are going to be harvested?
I can think of a million reasons why the government would be making lists of veterans, and none of them are ever good.
Yeah, me too. And now, I've got to the point now.
Are you sure?
Our government is nowhere.
Are you sure your body parts aren't eminent domain? What if somebody really important needs them?
They'll have to kill me. And
I think that's their plan.
Well, you know what? You know what? If I get any inkling of that's going to happen,
I feel bad.
I will make sure, gentlemen, that you have a DNA sample of the mothers that tried to get me, and I'll still be alive.
I feel bad.
Everything in my house is a weapon. Everything in my house is a weapon. I may be 67 years old, but I ain't done.
No, once a Marine, always a Marine.
Everything in my house is a weapon. Everything.
And it's sad that that's how people that speak the truth are treated in America. Right? If they fear that you may expose corruption, that you may speak out against them, that you may tell them to their faces that they're corrupt, right? Their answer to that is to be violent. Right?
Check
and
my
these
gut.
aren't people
Look what they just did to Julian. I mean, they dragged him out of the embassy.
None of the people that sent those heavily armed, Nazis
thugs,
to pick up fucking Assange, none of them would do it themselves. They're all complete and utter wusses.
Gentlemen, if I do end up dead, make sure an autopsy is done on my gut.
You're not feeling suicidal?
You will find DNA from the person who attacked me. I will chew off their face or their hand or their fingers. It will be inside my gut. And you'll have DNA. You'll be able to find out. You'll be able to trace, because their DNA, you'll be able to trace their family origin.
I can only hear that. Why some fucking hitman coming running back out of David Strider's house. What happened? Fucker bit me.
Motherfucker ate my cheek. Look at my hole in the cheek.
Run.
He swallowed my eyeball. Eyeballs pop out real easy. Shit. I just swallow it like an egg. General survival.
That's why we have Marines. Thank you so much for coming on, brother. It's definitely always a pleasure to have you.
I appreciate being part of the mayhem tonight. Not the mayhem that we're causing, the mayhem that we're reporting.
Yeah, to be honest, there's we're in interesting times.
Yes,
no matter how you slice it, we're in interesting times.
Look at the rising of the technology of facial recognition, and now they're looking for DNA databases. They're trying to create a national DNA database of everybody.
23andMe. 23andMe.
You can get that clear check.
Family tree DNA was. Well, Family Tree DNA was giving the DNA data without consent of people to the FBI. So there's that.
They've already caught 2 serial killers by using 23andMe.
Yes,
that's good deal. Good deal.
And that's good. Right. I'm glad that they started using it. But they had the clear check. You get through customs faster, get through TSA faster, because you have that chip or that ID thing or the eyeball thing.
Oh, it doesn't matter what identification or how many.
I
always get taken aside for their random inspection.
Well, hey, wait a minute! I got this clear check. I got that damn chip in me. You got a picture of my eyeball.
No, they start saying things
where did he touch you, Terrence? Where did he touch you?
It was kind of up and
down.
Did
he touch you here?
He started on my back, and then he did spend a little more time than I would like around my genitals. I don't know how long is okay in that situation. And
well, that's when you ask him, are you married to a Salvadorian woman?
I asked him, I kind of gave him the,
Lorena Bobbitt.
Yeah, are you picking out for weight, or what are you doing there, man? But I'm normally taken aside for a random screening of some sort. All the way until I hit New Zealand, and then the security there all kind of knows me by name, so they all get high fives and shaka bras. So that's a win.
That is a win.
No,
it's a bit scary if they know you by name.
Oh no, they're great guys. I'd like the security that works there is pretty much a giant Marty guy that asks you if you're bringing in any drugs.
So was Whitey Moore, that guy named Whitey Moore. He knew everybody by name.
I try to make connections anywhere I can. There may be a time when I have to call in that. Like, dude, I can't wait. Gotta go later.
Yeah.
Hey, Terrence. Oh, yeah, just in a big hurry. Really need to get on New Zealand soil.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I all of you. I know Terrence, and that's all. That's the only person I know. But Terrence, thank you for the invite tonight. Crew, thank you for listening to my bitching. And if you want to hear more, Terrence knows how to get in touch with me.
Yeah, please stay at it. Stay at it. Do what you're doing. Like, we need your voice. We need that kind of fire in our leadership. It's just something that's so missing in our government right now. In that return to the fire that was in the bellies of our founding fathers. I really love that. The whole energy. The times where we've really needed someone to stand up for us in government. You've always been there for us. So I really appreciate all that and appreciate you for coming on. Anytime you need us to get out information, we're here for you.
Thank you. And one thing I do want to do is ask you guys to let me know if there's something that I missed in the messaging that I'm putting out there. If there's something that I missed, let me know when it pertains to how America is viewed, how our people are treated. If I missed it, please let me know.
Definitely.
Well,
definitely.
Let me ask you what your opinion is. What's going on with Julian Assange?
I'm fighting for election integrity here in the state of Washington right now, a group called Revive Washington. You can find it at rwelections.com. You can get a story on it. And we found irregularities. Anybody familiar with fractional magic? Anybody familiar with the black boxes?
Yeah. There was quite a few groups that I heard that they can be hacked easily with like a ducky or a USB. Put into the little boxes.
Yeah, what it does is it runs in the boot sector, so it goes unnoticeable to somebody who is monitoring the election results. You can change an election result in 30 seconds. That's how quickly it happens. It's just like when a new results coming in, boom, it hits and it flips flops. You were ahead by 15 points. Now you're behind by 15 points. Just that quick. And that's what we're fighting here in the state of Washington. rwelections.com. And you'll see, get more of a story on that. But without legit elections, we're screwed. It doesn't matter what you want. The only way it's going to happen is if we cut all their heads off, do a French Revolution or a Bolshevik Revolution, and that's the only way it's going to happen.
It's the exposure that Julian's had to exposing the rigged elections that we work in, the emails between it, the voting irregularities between it, how they're able to manipulate our media, and all of that was exposed by Assange, and really shows how eroded our election integrity has became. Two people decide, the DNC decides who your president is, and the DNC is able to tell our news media who they want to win. I don't think
treason. And but going back to how I feel about Julian, I appreciate the word that he got out. You get information and it gets given to you. It gets dumped on you, whether he was looking for fishing for this or that or whatever. You provide me the information, and I'll put it out there. You're reporting a story. What was Watergate? Is Watergate not allowed anymore?
Well, that's what it seems like. It seems like he's being punished for revealing corruption and revealing the collateral murders that happen in Iraq, and it's really scary for journalism, because you have a journalist that's potentially going to be prosecuted under the Espionage Act, so it could set a precedent.
Yeah. Oh, they're hoping that it does. And they're even trying to spin that somehow WikiLeaks isn't news media. And that's insanity. And you can look and see quite clearly, the CNNs, NBCs, Fox News, they're all trying to spin that somehow they name, I said it in the beginning, name a story that has been put out that any of the news media, the main news media has put out that's been important as anything that WikiLeaks has put out. As far as the exposing corruption, any of that. Not a single one of them.
Here's the thing. In 2001, after 9/11 happened, General Wesley Clark said that there was a policy coup-op that took place in Washington and the Pentagon, where they said that they were going to invade 7 countries within 5 years.
5 years, yeah. And we're taking
7 countries within 5 years. 7 countries within 5 years. WikiLeaks was the force that stopped that, because they brought attention to the human rights violations and everything that was going on in Afghanistan and Iraq. And Hammond, when he leaked the Stratford documents and everything, within Stratford's documents, it talks about propaganda used in Syria 5 years prior to the actual event that happened with Assad. So here you have multiple instances within WikiLeaks where it shows the intelligence agencies are just absolutely criminal and running PSYOP operations and basically trying to incite.
Yeah, they're trying to keep
revolutions in other countries for regime change.
These are people that talk about things like endless war. What a fucking nightmare!
Remember the scene
endless
in
war, and they look forward to it. They're smiling and laughing while discussing.
Yeah, like I said, John Bolton should be dragged out of office and thrown in prison for going on national TV.
We've got a good option. We've got an option now, right? They've discovered a black hole. I say we start shooting these guys into the black hole.
Yeah. I'd like to use a scene from a movie. For A Few Good Men. Jack Nicholson, United States Colonel, Marines, sitting on the thing, and he says, Tom Cruise says, "I want the truth," and Nicholson responds, "You want the truth? I'll give you the truth.
Yeah,
you can't handle the truth. You only know lies. You suck up those lies every day, and because it doesn't do nothing to hurt you, you let it be the truth." And to be quite honest with you, Cupcake, I'm going to show you how fucking hard the truth is. Because one thing that I pride myself in, gentlemen, okay, I paraphrase what Jackie said, is that I've never had to retract a story or a comment. I've never had to. You don't like me being a grumpy old Marine? That's too fucking bad, Cupcake. You got to be glad that you weren't in my Marine Corps. You got to be glad you weren't in my Marine Corps, because you wouldn't have lasted fucking 30 days. And 29 of those days, you'd been in the brig. And the whole point that I'm getting at here is that we have to build that esprit de corps that we were given as children. I remember when I was growing up, I wanted to be, a G.I. Joe. I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, I had pride in my nation as a young child. And when we let our men and women go to war and kill children, when we let ourselves bomb tents with $1 million rockets, when we destroy schools and hospitals, and we allow somebody like Netanyahu, I'm not against Judaism, but I am against nationalism. And I got a bone to pick anybody who has a fucking rebel flag or a Nazi flag. I got a bone to pick with them. My father killed Nazis. He was 14, 15, just turning 15, and he was on the Liberty ships going to Murmansk, giving Russia supplies. My father killed Nazis. He killed Imperial Japanese. I am my father's son. And when you try to take the rights and infringe upon rights and instill your imperialistic rule on me or someone else, you've got yourself an enemy. I may not last the first round, but guess what? You'll know that you had a battle and there's 1,000 million more behind me.
Awesome. All right, I'm ready. Let's go. Okay. I'm ready. Let's do it. Fuck, yeah.
I run my campaign like a military operation, you know. Sometimes, but I will say this, it is tight. It is tight. I need more people to take part in it. It's a congressional district. It's the capital and the city that I live in, and I do appreciate this time that you guys let me share my views and the story with the veterans leakage. Continue it. As soon as I can get a way to get that footage for you, I will send it to you, PM it to you, Terrence, so that you can share it with the group. We're going to be fighting. We have no choice. And we have to, there is no niceties. Okay? The DNC is telling everyone we got to be nice to our opponents. We can't name calling. Well, listen, if you're a traitor, I'm going to call you one. If you're stealing from the people, if you're stealing the dreams from the people and filling your pots, if you're ripping off the treasury and giving it to the billionaires, you're a traitor. And you're just glad you got to be glad we don't live in Nazi Germany, because they would have come. They wouldn't have even waited for you to get home. They would have gone to work and pulled you outside and shot you in the front of the building.
Well, just traitors. Shit. I mean, the bottom ring of hell is saved for traitors. So I always keep that in mind.
Well,
the
yes,
very bottom. There ain't nothing worse than a traitor.
Well, fellas, if they do take me out, guess what? I'll be at the gates of hell, making sure the sons of bitches don't get out. All right.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate that. I really do. All of you. Thank you.
Excellent. That was David Strider. And if you want to give out your we didn't lose him here.
I'm here.
If you want to give out your email one last time.
Right now, you can reach me at ifightforvets.us. You can find out everything about me. That's the way you contact me. You can do it anonymously. You can just make your comment and fade into blackness. But ifightforvets.us.
Excellent. So yeah, please, if you're interested and you've got questions for him or just want to know, what to do, if you've got, problems with the VA or any of that stuff, something that you wanna help expose, or if having trouble get the word out, contact us or contact David. We'll make sure it gets to him.
Oh, you know what? I got. While you guys are doing your closing thing, Sorry. Sorry. Listen, I got something I want to show you. You guys keep talking. It'll be just 30 seconds.
All right.
So what do you think that Julian Assange's arrest is going to do for journalism? You think that people are going to be more scared to publish information?
No, I think it's going to have the opposite effect. It always does. I really don't think that it's going to have, that they're going to take Julian out and make an example of him and shut us up. I don't see that happening.
Okay, I'm back. Okay? And this is part of my fundraising gig. Okay? But it's important. My campaign manager came up with the idea. I came up with the MATA thing because it matters. Okay? Can you see it?
There we go.
Make America think again because it matters.
That's great.
Send us a picture. Send us a picture of you with the hat on, and we'll post it on the site.
Hoorah! Thank you.
Nice work.
Thank you, guys. Again, thank you again. I almost forgot that. Almost forgot that.
Here we go. How do we drop back out of the call?
I hang up.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Oh, there he goes.
All right. So, it was our guest, David Strider. Really great guy. I've known him since his run for Senate. Just really energetic. You'll never meet another. He is a Marine through and through. If you need to send a devil dog after someone, he is your man. The rest of the show, I think we're going to focus on Julian and his struggle at this moment, and really what it means for journalism, what it means for this fight for truth.
What it's saying is that free speech isn't really free anymore. I mean, journalism isn't protected, neither is telling the truth.
Well, I mean, it really, it shows, okay, this is the things that WikiLeaks released, right? Whether you whether they hurt a candidate or, make a country look bad or look good, doesn't particularly matter. When it comes to like the collateral damage in Iraq and Afghanistan, you wanted to know about those things. It's not like the things that were released by WikiLeaks you didn't want to know. You didn't want to know what was in the Clinton emails? Is there something in there that you saw as, you know what I mean, that you didn't want to know about, that you feel that you're better off not knowing? It's
not even just that. It's more so about transparency and keeping the governments in line. Without a force like WikiLeaks, tyranny is able to run rampant within the government, and then we will have more illegal wars. Like they're looking at Iran, they're looking at Venezuela. They tried to get in Venezuela. Oh, that didn't work, so we're back to looking at towards Iran, and now they're pushing that the Iran's Supreme Guard is.
A terrorist organization.
Are labeled all terrorist organization. Yeah.
Everybody we don't like are terrorists. Everybody's a terrorist. We're all terrorists. Water Protector's a terrorist. Anonymous is a terrorist.
That's right.
We're all terrorists. We're all terrorists.
No. Actually, Anonymous is classified a terrorist organization by the DHS, so there is that. So
with global reach.
They still didn't realize that Anonymous isn't an organization, so therefore it completely deflects their labeling of Anonymous.
Very few people that the government labels are terrorists. I mean, it's
well,
just
now there's a whole new classification, what they call domestic terrorism.
Yep. Well, what they first started doing that under the Obama administration. Under the Obama administration, they started. It was under Project Vigilante Eagle.
Boy, that's so much. Wow, that is some serious.
But you know what the label is domestic terrorism.
They started labeling
years ago. They were called revolutionaries.
Now wait a minute. What was that again? That was the domestic eagle. What was that? What Freedom Eagle? What was that?
Project Vigilante Eagle. Project Vigilante Eagle. Listen.
I know
Project Vigilante Eagle was the U.S. government's program for collecting names of veterans that came back from Iraq and Afghanistan that they considered to be a threat. And they labeled them on a list.
Could you give me I need something more patriotic than the Patriot Act. I need it to take more rights, but I need it to sound patriotic. Something with eagles in it.
Yeah, well, if you called it what it is, Operation Stasi Snitch, that wouldn't go over too good.
What the fuck? Who makes up these names? Look, the more patriotic the bill sounds, the more rights it takes away. I mean, you made it sound that is the most unpatriotic bit of information, and that was one from our buddy Joe Biden, right? That was written by Joe Biden before 9/11. Think about that for a second. He wrote the Patriot Act before 9/11.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that too. And then on top of that, 2 senators were poisoned by anthrax right before the vote for the Patriot Act. And they were the senators that were completely opposed to the Patriot Act. And then
that sounds how you deal with somebody that looks at that paper and says, no, this is tyranny here. This is a police state, guys. We got to cast the Constitution. We can't do that. The person that stands up and says that, I could see you dying.
Well, then the anthrax was linked back to the CIA in
I think the U.S. government is the only people that make anthrax, which is why it's such a big deal when they find it. Like why it's so easy to find out. There's only like 5 places that make it. It's the same as when people get poisoned with radiation. They've got a map.
Yeah, right? It's they weren't thinking that one through too well, were they?
They don't give a shit. What are you going to do about it? I mean, how many thousands of people have they killed? What are you going to do about it? They will arrest a journalist in broad daylight in another country.
The government has you marked
illegally.
They don't give a
violating international law.
All of them. All of them.
Hey, this is breaking. The Ecuadorian president is says Julian Assange hit embassy guards, and they just got rid of a spoiled brat. So he's keeping it classy.
Oh, you know what? But good. It's good. I hope when they came in there, you saw they were dragging him out. He went out fucking kicking and screaming, and I love that about him.
I thought they'd
last
perp
thing he was
walk him.
saying in the car, resist, don't stand for this. I bet you he was kicking and spitting and screaming when they came in that room.
Yeah, dead weight.
I think the book that he was holding was deliberate. To be honest, I think that was.
There's nothing that he did.
I think that was sending a message. Right. Yeah. Because Assange is a very smart guy. So
he knew he was going to be able to cradle and hold on to exactly one thing, and I think he chose extremely wisely what that one thing was going to be.
Yep.
Because if anybody that's been arrested like that, if you you only get that, if you're going to get that picture of you, if you're going to, make that statement, you've only got that one thing you can curl around, right? Or they just end up getting your hands behind your back and that's it.
Now, it would be interesting if that was the password to the insurance file.
Oh, it's coming. I know that it's been passed around. We've been passing around just to make sure that there's lots of people that have a copy of it. But I don't know when it's go time, right? That's really up to them and how they start saying military tribunal. Man, I'd fucking hit that switch. Because it's not like you have to
definitely coming, but I just said it would be interesting.
Is that both Julian and Chelsea are locked up right now at the same time?
That was done on purpose because they're trying to pressure Chelsea Manning into saying that she gave him that password, and she has said that did not happen.
It really didn't. If you know anything about Chelsea Manning and who she was communicating with at the time that all this was happening, 90% of the time she didn't know who she was communicating with, and it was another hacker. I forget his name, but he killed himself in April.
Adrian Lamo.
Yeah, Adrian killed himself last year.
But he was the snitch. He was the snitch that turned her in too.
Yeah, he did. But 90% of the time he was the one that was communicating with Chelsea in trying to get all of this data, and 10% of the time she was talking to Julian. But I everything that is being thrown at him is thrown out of context. And what I believe is that whole conversation of him trying to get more data from the military didn't happen. I really don't believe any of that even happened.
I don't believe it is, because that's just not. Oh, so this is the one time? Come on. You really think that Adrian Assange is sitting from his home fucking laptop typing in passwords to secret government computers? Come on.
Well, no. The other guy that she was talking to was a known drug addict. Actually, his drug of choice was benzodiazepines and it was like bath salts or something. So
benzos.
Yeah.
What a fucking blast that guy had.
Yeah, that's actually how he died. He overdosed on opiates and was research chemicals.
I think that what the fuck is a research chemical?
Yeah.
What is that? Is that the shit you get from the government?
No. It's just stuff they sell on, the Silk Road or whatever the hell they're using right now.
Okay, yeah, I'm not hip, man. I guess I'm not putting anything that's called a research chemical into my body. I'm sorry.
They roll the dice, man. Come on.
Or something? What the fuck's a research chemical?
Yeah.
Well,
that's the point. We don't know. We're gonna give it to you and see. This one causes death. Obviously,
surprise!
It's the first time you're the guinea pig.
Yeah, it causes.
Somebody's
death.
got to be the first guy.
It's weird. Most of them seem to cause death. But the deal is, they're trying to pin he was sitting back, trying to get higher and higher clearances into their corrupt. This specifically has to do with operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. And they had it set out, right? They had certain things that they needed to happen to keep U.S. support in the war, to keep the population of America supporting the war. And God, he fucked all of that up. You don't understand. We had so many people that we still had left to kill. Right?
Yeah, we still had at least 5 other countries that we had to invade because of that 5 years.
Yeah, do you know the money that Julian has now cost us? Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
You know the amount of money, the billions, if not trillions of dollars that he has cost us now? There's entire regions we're not going to be able to invade now. Good job, Julian. Good job. And that planned out, infinite, unending wars. God, it was going to rain money from the heavens. We were going to give fucking Betsy DeVos a couple more fucking yachts, pay off some mercenaries. It was going to be great. Ugh. God damn it. You fuck up everything.
Damn it.
We got to win too if it wasn't for those pesky kids.
Well, it might slow things down a little bit, but it's the getting of the word out.
You released those fucking emails. We didn't even get to kill anybody in Libya. We had serious plans for that, guys.
No, they killed fucking
heaps.
Tons of people.
In comparison to what they wanted, they hadn't liberated the region yet, and that's where the fun starts.
Well, you got to look at them passing weapons through the Benghazi consulate and then having the Benghazi consulate attacked and then saying, "We don't know what happened. It was an internet video."
But that's the deal. Like what country sells weapons to its enemies? And then I realize you got to make the money and all of that stuff, but come on, just a bad idea.
Well, because they were funneling to Syria through Libya. That's what they were doing.
This is a bad idea. All of it.
Well, what they were doing was they were they were giving the Free Syrian Army, otherwise known as Al-Nusra,
all of that
connected to Al-Qaeda. It's fucking horrible. But the point being,
none of this is sounding. I hear you.
No,
but it still doesn't sound like a good idea.
Well, it was very important to make sure the Sunni side got their weapons. You got to remember where Obama was and who he really supported, what sect.
You have to also remember who was the Secretary of State.
Well, yeah,
and all she cares about is money.
Yeah, I don't know how we need to get somebody that can do an impression of Hillary Clinton, but I don't know if like a blood-sucking harpy is like something we can put out. Is like what does that sound like? Like nails on a chalkboard followed by greed. What does that voice sound like? That's what we're looking for.
That's her witch laugh. That's the best.
Or she looks surprised that there's balloons falling down from her rigged election. What? I got the nomination? No.
Oh.
But again,
my hitmen and went and threatened Bernie Sanders, and now I win.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Like, oh my God! And we're.
I'm sure what happened in Utah.
He dropped his ball sack and he took the money. That's what happened.
Well, in Nevada,
we'll find out. The 15th is going to be a big deal. The 15th is either going to give us Bernie Sanders as a president, or that's going to be the end of his political career. Because look, Vermont, whether you like it or not, Vermont was a tax haven, and he was in charge of that. If he didn't, you know what I mean? If you look at his things and, it's all clean, right, then that's fine. But look, if you weren't giving money to charities, and probably a lot of money to not seem like a dick, if you didn't pay taxes because you're a millionaire, and whether you're a little millionaire or a big millionaire, right, the fact that you didn't pay any taxes, but yet you still came here out and bitched about it, how you paid your workers and what you, if you paid your workers, barely the minimum wage and then came out and bitched about wage laws, that could really affect his presidency, no doubt. If it comes out he was a great guy, fuck, he'll win the presidency hands down.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard, she's
definitely going to be president, but not while Bernie's in there. It's just
Bernie's got problems. He came out as against open borders today.
What? I don't even know what that means. So what he wants?
What do you mean open border? Well, that's anti-immigrant. I mean, come on, you don't know what it means.
So he doesn't. I don't understand.
He's not totally.
So he wants the wall. He wants the wall that Trump wants.
He's siding with Trump. His socialist state can't exist if you do it for everybody. He thinks it can work for us here if you have control.
Does he know about? Does he not know about?
You can't let everybody in.
Does he not know about the plan? Our plan was to feed like the entire planet. There was a guy that posted a while ago that was all like, great, we're going to get healthcare for all. What's it going to be next? Food for all? Well,
healthcare for all, makes sense because if you don't have a healthy a healthy worker, they cannot produce.
You know what? But well-fed workers also produce well.
You know what I'm saying?
He's not toting the Democrat line. I don't see how you can get away with it.
That may be a fear. Our plan would be to probably unite our entire hemisphere. We break it up into fucking North and South America, and the people below the equator starve, and the people above it are all good. Well, that's got to come to an end. That doesn't work anywhere.
Well, yeah,
the fact that they're starving people below you is going to always cause all sorts of inequality problems. And probably if you do, like, you know what I mean, try the
they call that survival of the fittest.
Yeah, well, I mean, eventually starving people are going to react. That's just it. I would. What? How long am I going to stay in a spot and starve to death? Not very long at all. Not at all.
Well, that would increase crime.
I mean, sure, whatever, man. Like, it's sure what, like, that's the deal. I mean, it's something that we've talked about before. If you think that, like, socialism is bad, I'm into straight up piracy. You're a multi-billionaire. I was going to take it all. This money was all taken off of the backs of my brothers and sisters. This was built off of the poor. You're starving people across the nation. No, I was going to take it all. The whole fucking thing. Walk the plank, homie. You know, it's like it's a bad time to be a rich man in Sherwood Forest, right? There comes a point where starving people are going to react. And the best way to keep that from happening is probably to work together. This whole, like, working on inequality sucks. I don't dig it.
So that's the difference between doing for self and the helping I have to help every brother thinking.
Well, no, I'm not even saying you don't have to. It's not that, you know, we've gotten to the point now where the American farmer is kicking ass. The American farmer makes enough food to feed the world 10 times over. 10. We can be more than fat and happy on 3 times over, 4 times over, 5 times over. At a certain point, it's not actually inequality in the world, right? It's manufactured inequality, and that's different.
Yeah, that is going on. Yeah.
So, I mean, people aren't starving in the world because there's not enough food, right? People don't have medicine because there's not enough medicine, right? People like that. That's the problem.
It's all greed. It's all greed.
We have a serious greed problem, and we get like, look, the whole like open borders thing. If you're working in a country that you're not supposed to, and you get caught, why do we have to feed the prison industrial complex? Just find them.
I'm pretty sure we could feed the whole entire world, or not the world, the world. I'm pretty sure we could feed the whole entire U.S. if we just taxed Amazon and Google and took that money and just gave it to the poor.
They paid nothing in taxes. I mean, come on, guys. We're not asking for much, man. It's like we have to beg for crumbs from a billion-dollar industry that pays no taxes and uses our labor, our work, our country, our infrastructure.
It doesn't make sense at all. I mean, you can have a small business making $1 million or less, and they have to still pay taxes. But
it's the limousine liberal complaint. You know, it's like you guys talk a good game, but you're still this billionaire asshole that does what they do. You know, so I mean, I don't know how far that goes with Democrats, but it seems to go a long way. But
nowhere. When you look at things like Flint, it costs, you know, we're looking at $150 million to fix Flint's water. There's not $150 million in the Democratic side of the U.S. Senate, U.S. House. You guys don't have $150 million between you. Every single one of you guys are multi-millionaires, and you can't come up with $150 million bucks to take care of the actual American people. Pick a city, any city.
It's done, man. Yeah, it's just, it's amazing. I mean, it's just.
There was like
no matter how you look at that one, just like really, you know, can't get them fresh water. Okay, yeah, right.
There's just nothing. There's just nothing we can do. I love how they're completely like impotent to fix or help in any way, shape, or form, like any real reality.
Yeah. No, you know what? And more. I mean, it's just obvious. It's just like this has to be a government experiment. There's no other way to explain why they act the way they do. You know, down to the city council, all of them. It's like they've all been paid off to let this happen.
I think at a certain point, like the actual elite, they believe that they're above us. They're better than us. They always have.
Look into
the name. They're elite. If they're elite, what does that make you?
Well, yeah, you're elite. What?
Chop liver.
If you actually come from that district, you're supposed to anyway. Not that anybody does this anymore. But, you know, you're the one getting shitty water too, right? So, I mean, you're elite what? An elite water drinker. I mean, that doesn't help you. I mean,
water drinker.
You know, you look at people like Joe Biden. Like Joe Biden will talk about Scranton like non-fucking stuff. Why don't you pour a big glass of water from Scranton there, Biden? Big old glass of water, right? Straight out of the fucking tap. And let's see how all that fucking decades and decades and decades of money that you took from the coal industry, right? Let's see how well your water supplies are.
I just realized we lost our guess.
We will go to rural Pennsylvania. We will go to fucking rural Delaware right now and pour you a glass of water. You think you drink it? Fuck, they don't live there, right? They got fucking islands in summer homes, and they don't live in like anywhere near that. The people we're elite.
Creepy Joe is creeping around, man. I mean, who knows where he's at?
He's behind you right now.
Oh my God,
he's always behind. He's always behind you. Now, even when you see those pictures of him standing behind Obama, you kind of feel freaked out, right? Like he's just waiting to pounce behind him. Look, Biden, you gotta quit standing behind me, brother. It's getting freaky. It's getting freaky. I don't like it. Just gotta stand aside there, man. Why are you always behind me? It's
Can you imagine the work environment? I mean, imagine like the worst place, the worst company you've ever worked for. It has to be. I mean, just all the crazy shit that's going on. It's like the country's going to shit. These guys are probably banging the secretary, going in to admire their fine wood in the bathroom. You got somebody else under the desk. I mean, wow.
Oh, I mean, at some points, I feel like it would be. I feel bad for the people that are like these government officials' PR teams. Right? Because no matter how many stories you make to cover it, there's always like one more right away. Every single time. They'll try to make a quick cover. Look, Joe Biden does not get handsy with people. That's, he's not creepy. You're taking it wrong. Comes out on stage 15 minutes later, groping a kid, talking to the fucking parents. I got permission to fucking touch him, right? That's cool. It's all good.
Yeah, well, right? He's a good party man. He said it's all right.
His PR team and just being like, "Oh my God!"
Before this story came out, talking about the groping that he's done to women, but they're not talking about the groping that he's done to children live on TV in many cases, and in other cases, right there on Congress's floor.
Yeah, I think what you're referring to is those videos that were coming around the same time Pizzagate was coming out.
There's a lot of them.
You just said the word that got us demonetized.
Yeah, that's it. You said Pizzagate.
I'm sorry.
You said Pizzagate. I mean, look, I've said it from the beginning.
There was a lot of relevant stuff that came out around that time.
The greedy and elite molest children. The church fucking molests children. Don't act like you don't know this, right? These government groups of people, like, what the fuck? Like, you don't know that politicians are greasy as fuck? How many of these assholes got to get caught with 14-year-old kids before you fucking realize that? Children and children. Right? Like, you don't, we have to act like it's not a reality. No, the whole Pizzagate fucking rape basement thing wasn't a true story. But they do rape people in some of them are fucking basements, right?
Here's the problem.
Chances are it's at their summer homes or one of their
weird fucking... there was some relevance to the story because, I remember there was a unit, there was a business 3 units over that did have some pornographic stuff on their website, so... And it was a restaurant.
And it's one of those things that's probably one of the few reasons why we're still on air is because we don't get caught up into it. I don't have to sit here and try to pick apart which one of your operations is a false flag. I can tell you our government does false flags. They can tell you they do false flags. I don't have to pick apart which media story is propaganda, right? You know that they put out propaganda. I shouldn't have to explain to you each and every time that the church fucking rapes children because here's a surprise. The Catholic Church rapes children. They put up entire fucking industries to do it.
And
they
laws.
push congressmen to lower the amount of time that a rape victim can come forward with a rape account.
Well, they also grant them immunity to, even saying that even if something that did come out, they wouldn't be allowed to prosecute because of their... because they're
Jeffrey Epstein, cough.
Yeah, so I mean, and the people that they go to make these laws are child molesters. The only person that wants to lower the statute of limitations on child rape are child rapists. I mean, this is more than obvious, right?
Absolutely.
If you just push legislation to lower the amount of time that a rape victim can bring rape charges that happened as a child against a priest, you are obviously a child molester. No, I mean that should be more than obvious to anyone. If not, then you're definitely supporting child molestation.
Well, it's easier for people to use cognitive dissonance to act like it's not happening because if they actually admit that it's happening, they would have to do something. And they don't really care to do anything.
Say, oh well, and that's the game, right? We can discredit you can discredit people. Oh well, there wasn't any trip, there wasn't any there wasn't a Pizzagate, right? There wasn't a rape dungeon in this one place. But make no mistake, they do have rape dungeons. right? They do have places that they go, politicians, right? People in power, movie stars, right? People that are, and they go and they have sex with children. That is their thing. This is not hidden.
Yeah, no, it's not.
But you get a detail wrong, right? And they will destroy you with it. Right? In that little thing, and that you didn't, that detail was wrong. That one place, and they do it. So you're going to tell me, what do they do at Bohemian Grove? Right? But that, what do they do at Bohemian Grove?
Did we just lose him?
And he's gone.
Are you serious? Really?
Yeah. It's talking too much about Bohemian Grove and
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah. Typical, right?
Hold on.
It's pretty funny though that happens when you're talking about a subject like that. In the 1980s, I believe it was, the New York Times ran an article that was called "Boys are being sold to foreign agents as blackmail," and now nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to talk about the elite pedophilia that goes on. It's all fake, and it's crazy that people would say it's fake, and it's crazy that the Washington Post, who's owned by the CIA, would say that it's so crazy that there's a potential pedo ring going on here when and joke around saying that Hillary Clinton's involved in it when Hillary Clinton's husband, Bill Clinton, went to Jeffrey Epstein's island multiple times.
Yep.
And now, I don't know if you saw it or not, but Alan Dershowitz is trying to say that the flight logs prove that Bill Clinton didn't go to the island. And I'm like, wait, what? What are you trying to say? The fuck?
So what, did it have a thing? What is it, like a flight log that says Clinton was not on flight on there? Was he supposed to be? Like, that doesn't particularly help. Who makes a registry?
No, it's all bullshit. I think that the House of Cards is coming down on that Jeffrey Epstein's case very fast.
We should just call it Pedo Island,
Yeah, well,
I'm sure that's what they call it.
That's really what it was. I mean, you can't argue it wasn't. I mean, there was pictures when the police raided the place. There was pictures of underage girls on the walls. So anybody who went there is breaking the law. I mean, clearly. I mean, and
that's just. I mean, it just seems weird that you would. Yeah, that whole game is so ignored. Right? Like, everybody knows that it happens, right? Everybody knows that it's going on right underneath their noses. The church is a perfect example. Everybody knows it, to the point it's called the priest's disease, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, the news media completely acts like it does not exist. They're shocked.
Well, because there are laws that protect priests from being prosecuted or revealing what another priest had told him in confession in regards to child molestation that they had done.
I'm sorry, I thought you were a priest. I thought the only law that you followed was between you and God. Is there a law that supersedes God's law?
No. What I'm saying is that there are laws that were in place by people that were trying to protect the child molesters.
But for someone that isn't a child molester, I can't see why that would matter. I don't know. There's a law that protects child molesters.
Well, I'm totally agreeing with you. I'm just going off of what I know,
Yeah, I'm sure there are. There's heaps of laws that protect them and, what these priests could do and say. I mean, that really just says on the extent of the rot inside of that community. If you can't find a priest that's willing to speak out, and I mean, this is in a pretty, draconian fucking culture, you can't find anybody to speak out? Nobody?
Well,
nobody.
They've tried to get the Pope to talk about it, but the Pope keeps on dicking around about it.
Well, no, I mean he's not just dicking around about it. He's not persecuting them. He's not releasing names. He's not releasing information. He's not doing any of it. And I mean, my thing would be, if you really were a man of God, you would want to purge that nightmare from your ranks. If that leaves you with one priest, then that leaves you with one priest that stands with God. The rest of you are a bunch of fucking child molesters.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the regards to the pedophilia that goes on in elite circles, that's all about blackmail, and that's all about, in most cases, it's a operation, brownstone operation. Where,
how do you? I mean, but I understand you just won't get in the position of powers. But I'm sorry, man, you're just not going to like blackmail me into fucking a child. That's not going to happen. In fact, you guys are going to be lucky to make it out of here.
Well, what they do is they get politicians and influential figures into a compromising position, either through drugs or sex, and then they blackmail them to pass agendas and bills throughout.
Well, I dig it, but they're feeding off of an already corrupt person. You know, it's easy. That's how, yes. I mean, you know, that's whether you're spiritual or not, right? That's how the devil works. That's how that evil works. You don't approach people that are good and try to find that chink in their armor. You find the things that they already have an evil for. And that's what they do. Look, there's no forcing you to have sex with a child to blackmail you. You had sex with a child and they blackmailed you with it. You chose to do it. Is all of the people in the corporate elite, all the people in the elite that are doing these things, right? All of the ones that stood there and organized this kind of blackmail and those kind of systems could have just as well organized against it.
Yeah, in some instances, in other instances, it's done where politicians are trapped into a situation or drugged. I've heard all types of different stories from credible sources.
I've partied pretty hardy. Never.
I know. Yeah. Well,
like, you know what I mean? You're gonna have to like name me
conspiracy
what exactly
of silence.
How that happened.
Well, conspiracy of silence. What they did in conspiracy of silence, the documentary, it shows that the after parties of some of these political events is where some of this type of activity takes place. I'm not saying every after party clearly or anything like that, but what you have to understand is it's these circles that form within government.
You know, I don't want to like get all weird on you guys, but a lot of it ties into these weird occult circles that these political you know, these people in high political places get involved with.
Yeah. No, it does. It does. In a lot of cases, like you have one of the rituals for I think it was Phi Beta Iota is what Kay Griggs talked about, was to have homosexual sex with another person. So I mean, like, there's those types of different things that they do for blackmail for you to get higher up in society.
Well, I mean, how does that work? Does it still count as homosexual? Like, how does that work? Are you fucking someone, or are you getting fucked? Because I think those are two different things.
I don't know. Maybe I have no idea. But the point is,
are you against gay marriage? I don't understand what's going on here. Like, I don't.
Well, that was what they did years ago, right? Well, years ago, what they did that because it would be a big, huge scandal if they flashed headlines that said so and so is gay. You know, and coming out of the closet. You know, years ago, it was seen as
I'm not gay. I didn't push back.
Holy shit.
Jesus Christ. Oh, man. All right.
Like, how are they going to
blackmail you get my point. You get my point. That's what they did years ago.
When they can find anything against you, but even then, fuck, man, I think I'd have a hard time. I think you'd have a hard time. Man, like, when you deal with that kind of corruption, it doesn't make sense to a normal person.
Of course not.
We were blackmailing you by buggering each other and then taking pictures of it, and hopefully, Blake, you're blackmailing me with pictures of you fucking Lindsey Graham or being fucked by Lindsey Graham. Either way, I'm not like really like freaked out about it. I just like, why'd you take pictures? That's the weird part. I'm tired of the government being in my sex life.
So basically, you're saying if you want to fuck Lindsey Graham, you want to do it in your own privacy.
In my own private time. What me and Lindsey Graham do in our private time is our own business, right? I imagine he gets dressed up like Little Bo Peep. Like what are the girls with the umbrellas in the South? What are those called? Come on, no. Yeah, the Southern Bells. I imagine he gets all dressed up. Oh my.
That's a very Southern thing. Oh, that's perfect for him, yeah.
I mean, that sounded like the guy. That sounded like the old man from fucking Family Guy.
No, that's what I imagine. Isn't that what Lindsey Graham sounds like?
Well, you have to go to the high-end elite parties. Then you see that.
Yeah, then you see the good
Not
stuff.
saying I've ever been to any high-end elite parties.
In the Senate, I am Senator Lindsey Graham, but in here, I am Lady Marmalade.
Oh my God!
Please bring the boys forward for their inspection.
Hey, well, I mean, you remember that whole thing about when they stole that nuke from this Air Force base here in Texas and shipped it out there to Charleston? They were going to blow it up in the harbor or something. Well, what was that shit all about? I mean,
that kind of disappeared out of the newspapers, you know.
Yeah, that disappeared out of nowhere. It's like, oh, our deep state stole a nuke, and they're threatening to blow it up.
From a base that allegedly didn't have one. And then even the commander said, "What the fuck?"
It's the American government. We have strapped a nuke to everything humanly possible. Everything that you can fucking tie a bomb to, right, has a nuke. It is a lie if you don't think we've got nukes in space, nukes under the sea, nukes in volcanoes, nukes on little islands, nukes in the middle of Iowa. We got fucking nukes everywhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's a Cessna with a fat boy tied underneath it right now.
If they
and
can.
Trump has that fucking button. Oh my God!
It's a Space Force.
Oh God!
Yeah, I imagine they have they don't like actually give him a nuclear button. I wouldn't. For the better of the company.
You remember all those guys? The stormtroopers from Star Wars.
Yeah, that's Trump's Space Force.
That's what it's all about. Yeah, we got to get big ships full of a lot of dudes with guns.
Do you remember when Anonymous?
Are we going to shoot space? What's going on?
Obama
we haven't found any other aliens yet, like any other like anything in the universe yet. And this guy's trying to go to war with the infinite openness of space.
Look, we know there's Klingons and Romulans. Look, I mean, come on, that's like 50, 60 years old. We already know that.
Well, I mean, look, first of all, don't go pointing shit. Have you seen the Klingons? Don't go pointing fucking shit at the Klingons. You don't want a piece of that.
Hey, we'll start a war, worry about the consequences later. Come on.
I bet you they're training some alien terrorist group right now. Space ISIS is on its way.
Space ISIS?
Trying to call the board. Like, who knows what stupid idea they have for Space Force? It's going to be great.
Space Force is going to have a Death Star.
Oh, the only thing I can tell you about Space Force is this is going to be so expensive. Oh my God.
The space industrial complex is going to make the MIC look cheap.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. Do you know how much it costs to go to war with space? With space? We don't even know what we're going to war with.
Well, you see, Trump's going to be like, I like that Millennium Falcon. Can you recreate that?
I need one of those.
No, I can't.
I mean, no, come on. It's a military. It's a space industrial complex. Look, you give me a couple
trillion. They'll probably already fucking have it. What do you mean?
Yeah, I'll make you anything. You give me enough fucking money, I'll make anything you want. It's
a military
industrial complex. It doesn't.
I mean, if you think about it, TR-3B is like it's sort of like the Millennium Falcon. I mean, if you think about it,
we've got travels fast already, man. Yeah, I mean, come on, that's sure. 70s tech.
Yeah,
let's get serious.
Maybe not 70s, 80s, 90s. I give it. I don't think 70s.
No, the stealth fighter came out of the 75, man, when they started working on the prototypes. That was long. Yeah.
I mean, at a certain point, it's like they did spend $1 trillion and only come up with the Predator drone. You spend $1 trillion and came up with a remote control plane with a camera on it. You're fired. Everybody's fired. You're all fired.
Yeah, those things are overpriced. I mean, come on, that's. I mean, RC hobby people could do that.
Yeah, like a guy can make that in his. Well, I mean, and that's the deal. You took somebody that had probably a brilliant mind, and you put them to the stupidest thing that you could possibly build. You know, so I mean, yeah, if you took the most brilliant scientist in the world and what did you have them do? Well, build a drone. Well, no wonder they didn't do a good job.
They weren't challenged enough.
No, they were bored as fuck. We already know how to do this. Like, we're fighting a guy on a camel in the middle of the desert. How hard is this? But can you do it from space?
Well, I mean, really, all they had to do is just use the rod of God in the Middle East.
I mean, you know, that don't know, that's
use the kinetic weapon.
Yeah, what is that? That's the Thor project, I think it's called. Thor's hammer. Yeah, that's a kinetic. Yeah. That's a kinetic energy.
It's a kinetic energy weapon, direct energy weapon. Yeah. Usually, when we talk about direct energy weapons, something happens.
Well, they don't like us talking about direct energy weapons. They really don't like us talking about how to get around direct energy weapons. But we'll save that for another. We'll save that for another show. I've already been booted off once for the Pizzagate.
Yeah, I hate even bringing it up because so much of it was bullshit. You know, like 90% of it was bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, and I think some of that's the point. They'll take a story and they'll flood it with bullshit, right? They'll make sure that you're distracted by, you know, things you can point at something and be like, okay, that wasn't true, or that was, you know, I mean, that person is, and it's to discredit you. So, I mean, the truth underneath that is the power elite and the less children, right? That's
you know, the only reason I bought into it was because of Harvey. If you guys know who Harvey was.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think, I mean...
But then you know, the more I dug into it, the more I did my own research, the more I realized that 10% of it was true and 90% was bullshit.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, that's part of the hard part of our job, really, is doing the research part and sifting through that. Because you'll get stories that, fuck, that seems legit. These people are evil. So it's hard to sometimes when you'll hear stuff, you'll be like, when you guys were telling me about the spirit cooking shit, right? I was like, what? That's not real.
Oh, really?
You're like, nah.
Nah, come on. Right?
Well, yeah, you know, even I thought that was bullshit, you know, for a long time. And then, you know, when I saw the pictures and the lady in the bathtub with the feces, and I was just like, okay,
fuck, can I just get a rum and Coke? Do they not do that anymore?
There's a weird picture that came out of one of what's his name, a politician's Halloween party where there's a naked lady and a kid trying to get like a cup of punch, but the lady is naked in the cup of punch, but the punch is supposed to look like blood. Yeah, there was some really fucking weird shit going on, you know?
Yeah, well, maybe that was just like either. You know,
where's the CPS?
Yeah.
CPS, we need you. CPS, hello, CPS.
Yeah, I just feel like this is how people... I don't understand. Like, this is how the power elite party, and that kind of bugs me. Like, this is the worst party ever. There's a lady that's literally soaked in blood and dog shit, or whatever you're stirring up in there, right? Like, what...
And then you got some witch lady who's, like, painting with feces and blood and urine and making murals out of it, and I'm like... Oh.
Well, that's what spirit cooking is. Yeah, spirit cooking is...
I'm gonna bring my. I guess this is a BYOB party now.
It's like a cremation of care ceremony. It's the same type of
it's some sort of
weird type of mindset ritual. Type of thing.
Well, if you think about it, most occult rituals are surrounded around life force, and what are the excrement of life force? Blood, feces, urine, right?
Breast milk.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with the breast milk.
And you forgot semen.
There you go. I forgot
semen.
Don't forget that.
You have to mix them all together.
We were only a minute before somebody, and you mix it into a stew or a soup or
just a drink.
Now, and I know this is like a Bloody Mary, like a Bloody Mary. Is there vodka involved? Can I get it with vodka?
The only thing you're going to get from that is sick and a lot of pathogens, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna need much more. Like I'm kind of thinking like you get the cheese and the celery on the side, or just the blood.
If by cheese you mean from under cheese,
that's natural.
No,
it's organic.
That is not what I meant.
Yeah, fermented cheese is completely natural.
Can I just get a Bloody Mary? Is that cool? Just a normal.
Well, you see, their Bloody Mary would be blood, urine, breast milk.
Fine. Just the blood, right? No, just the blood and the vodka. No feces. I'm just not down, and I'm really scared about getting like dysentery or worms. Something. Is this
don't you want to rub nose with the
Kardashians?
Guys. This is what you got to do, Terrence. If you're going to rub nose with the Kardashians and the rest of the Hollywood trash, okay?
What do I got to do? I got to do that. Do it. Can I go to a normal party?
You want to be somebody or not?
I don't think I do.
Come on.
I don't think I need that kind of celebrity stuff. Look, to be in the in crowd, you got to drink the cup of blood doo-doo. I'm good, thanks. I'm fine.
They'll put you on TV. You'll be a star.
I'm
well, on a serious note,
that's
what WikiLeaks revealed. You know, WikiLeaks revealed that occultic ceremony.
No, that's why we're talking about it. That's the only reason we're talking about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's fucking huge. I mean, it's like, oh, everybody's like, oh, the elite are into satanic occult rituals. No, they're not. Oh, well, here's the evidence. What the fuck?
Well, yeah, that's been kind of the MO since people of political power since the beginning of time. Which is kind of really weird to me.
No, it makes here's how it makes sense.
There was King Solomon, and then there was Nebuchadnezzar, and then there was Adolf Hitler, and then there was Mussolini.
Abraham
and then we
was
have
literally murdering his sons in the top of the fucking mountain, and that was cool.
You know what I'm saying? People of power throughout forever have been involved in occultism. Everywhere from the pharaohs. The pharaohs, they believed that were they were as close to God as you can get. Then we got even Alexander the Great was into occultism. He believed in the Delphi, the oracle.
The oracle.
And I mean, I'm just saying it is a theme throughout power. And if you want me to get real weird and biblical on you, which I'm not. I'm just saying that there's a weird coincidence between power and occultism.
I definitely think there is like a draw, but that's something that they build up into themselves. Like this is some of these times it's a lifetime. You've been told that you're special, that you're even the reason you're rich is because God loves you more than those poor people, right? They believe that, right? So they bring themselves up into these environments that make you think like you're somehow better than the people. I mean, you don't get in jail. You can murder people. You can kill people. You can use people. You can rape children. You can drink bathtubs full of blood and people high fucking five you. Right? So, I mean, they build themselves into that. Like I've said 1,000 times before, they refer to themselves as the elite. They've tricked us into referring them to elite. What's elite about yourself? Are you the smartest? No. Fastest? No.
Well, they believe that they believe that they're as close to the source of it all than us.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's what they believe.
Yeah.
I totally dig it. I just don't buy it. They always do that. They're always anointed ones. They're all of that, blah, 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 blah. But come on, it's all bullshit. I mean, it literally is. You've tricked yourself into thinking that's the thing, right? The kings of England, the Egyptian pharaohs, right? It's not just that they said those things. They believe it. They believe they were put there by God. Their will, all of that shit.
Yep.
And that's what makes it into a sickness, because they believe they're put into those places of power by something other than fucking banging your sister and stealing from poor people.
And on that note, they believe that they're above the law. That's why, in most cases, I believe that they are involved in pedophilia for entertainment purposes.
It's the grandest deception there is. If they can tell you that and you believe it, hey, you win, man. I mean, that's like the ultimate con.
Oh yeah, look at the people that have watched CNN and Fox News and all the news networks today. They're all unified in their stories about Julian Assange today. All of them unified, right? And there's people that are walking around today that are spitting that stuff. Oh well, the indictment. Oh, he put lives at risk. Just mouthing it back. What was fed to them by the most corrupt people that you can imagine.
It looks like it was a government press package that was sent out to all these major networks that was played on TV today.
Over and over and over again. The amount of people that I mean, on air, these are the most trusted name in news, right? As a man is being arrested for nothing but spreading the truth in front of the entire world, right? They're talking about that he looks like Whip Van Winkle. That was their news coverage. That was their news coverage of a violation of all of our freedoms of the press, all of our freedoms of speech, right? To I mean, in all out
to mock him.
On
well, that's what media. You see media do. Yeah, you do. You see media do that on purpose. Part of their job as CIA propaganda is to diminish the truth of the story and people involved with it. If you look at news stories, that's what they do every story.
Look at him, ha 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 ha. Look at him with his beard and being sick after locking, after staying in an embassy for literally exposing the millions of people that you've killed.
It's so funny.
It's that sick joke.
We can laugh and talk like the Iraq war that those papers have exposed, right, hasn't killed millions and millions of people now, right?
Remember
Sent thousands of soldiers to their
WMDs?
death. Yeah, that's fucking hilarious, CNN. It's fucking hilarious. I can't stop laughing. Is they take our rights on national TV, right? Sending armed, armed thugs to pick up a journalist. And other journalists are there just hucking it up.
Cheering it on, yeah. It's absolute insanity. They haven't realized it yet that,
They want to be the last bootlicker standing. You have to be the last bootlicker.
Oh yeah, see, they'll over and over again. They'll watch they'll laugh and laugh and laugh here until their turn comes up, right? And then they'll act completely shocked. How could this happen? What do you mean they're shutting down our feed? Well, you were cheering about it a minute ago. Right? Yeah. Oh, now they're coming for you. Now it's a problem.
Right.
It's classic.
Right, and you'll see it because it does.
What's worse is the propaganda saying that pushing this Russiagate narrative again, and there's nothing in the indictment that says anything about Russiagate. And if there is something that comes out about Russiagate when he gets over here in the U.S., I mean, well, let me just say, I hope we can stop the extradition to the U.S.
I would bet money he's already here, man. It's been more than 24 hours. He is here. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you, he's in the U.S. already.
Yeah, like I said in the comments.
No,
they're not going to risk that. The English handed him over.
The lawyers are stopping the extradition with legal lawsuits.
They're not letting his lawyers see him.
No, his lawyers saw him.
I had heard that they have not had contact with him yet.
Well, the only way he could not
They gave a press release today.
They gave a press release before, like not from where he was being arrested from.
No, they gave a press release outside the court today.
Yeah, I thought that they hadn't
after the trial.
Yeah, I thought that they hadn't actually put eyes on him, but no, that's fine.
Well, I'm under the impression that the only way he cannot be transferred to us is if the death penalty is involved, and if you charge him low enough initially to get that done. He is coming here.
I don't think the English are fighting it in any way, shape, or form.
They'll give superseding indictments when he gets over here, and what they'll do is they'll probably push the death penalty and all those other fun things when he gets over here, not initially.
Yeah, see, I mean, I think we're under the impression that for some reason we're under the impression that these people respect laws at all. Ask anyone in Guantanamo Bay.
What's really weird is that, I was checking my Twitter feed and already a number of years was already pushed out by random accounts on Twitter, and a number was out for 5 years for Julian. So, I think that's a tactic that's already being used right now.
But you'll see, there's look at what they've done to look at what they've done to Reality Winner. Right? Look at what they've done to Chelsea Manning, right? Just because you're out, they'll arrest you at any time, put you in a deep, dark hole. Right?
Yeah.
They don't have to have, the law does not really apply like that. And if they put you in somewhere that isn't an official, actual prison, they don't have to follow any of your rules. You end up on Guantanamo, that's it. You're in Cuba, man. The rules don't apply.
Not even just Cuba.
You're right.
In any jail under any black site under NDAA.
CMUs,
so I mean, once you're there, what are you going to do about it? That's the problem. Once you're there, they're not going to fight you. The Senate isn't going to come to a halt. They're not going to do anything about it. You're there, and we can name off thousands of people that they've disappeared to these CIA and FBI black sites. Shit, there's one in the middle of Chicago, in the middle of it.
Yep.
For
I remember that.
See.
Yeah, I remember that site actually. From years ago when we found it. Yep.
Yeah, it's still open. It still has, people still come in and out. They disappear you in there. They don't charge you. They've left people in there for years. And you think they treat you with any kind of respect in there?
Make you vanish.
Yeah. And I mean, these are the ones that we know about. There's hundreds of these places. Oh, he's being tried by a military tribunal. Can we
They also use They also use biolabs. Under the biolabs, they have secret prisons.
Oh, come on, these people.
Not all of them, clearly. Not all of them, clearly, but some of them.
Well, and it's this is a dark facility that nobody, you know what I mean, because of compartmentalization, nobody even knows exists. So the fact that they've got like a biological holding facility, that's a prison, right? If they want to hold somebody that's sick with something or do some testing, some human testing down there, they keep you in a really secure spot.
That's literally a concentration camp. I mean,
so the fact, look, these things are going on. Whether that's, everything about this is so wrong, right? Saying that they'll continue on a path of being wrong. Look at what happened to Che Guevara.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Name off. Look at what happened to MLK. Look at how long. Leonard Pierre isn't even fucking guilty.
Well, Che Guevara was murdered by his own men, right?
No, Che Guevara was murdered by an assassin that the CIA bought.
Yeah, but I thought
that the guy's written. I mean, like hundreds of articles about it, like well-known event. We just paid a local mercenary to fucking kill him.
Well, who was the leader that was killed by his own men, paid off by the CIA? Because I thought it was Che Guevara.
Oh man, that's probably a long list.
Yeah, man, like shit. That's I don't even know where to start. Name a leader elected by the people that was killed, and chances are the CIA was involved. That's what they.
Well, no, it was in South America though. That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's not.
I thought it was Che Guevara.
I'm like, that's happening right now, bro.
Yeah, that's not narrowing it down.
Well, yeah, that's happening with Maduro. I mean, they tried to do it, or they tried to do it last year.
No, they're still doing it right now. It happened a few days ago. They shut off the power to Venezuela for the 17th day already.
Yeah, they're shutting off the power. I mean, that's obvious that it's them by now. It's like, I documented how they shut off the power when Maduro was giving a televised speech multiple times. Like, so you'd have to say that, something's going on there. I mean, you can't have a speech shut off multiple times as a coincidence. There has to be some type of catalyst, and the catalyst is the CIA shutting off the power.
Yeah,
he's got so many enemies. I mean,
he's not a well-liked guy, but I mean, it's such a weird situation because he isn't like really liked all that much by the people, but God, he isn't the American fucking, nightmare that's on the other side either. So like, what do you do?
He's also run his country and his shit so bad that his people are eating out of garbage cans.
He's making it easy.
Yeah, but I mean that's the deal. It's not like that happened all by itself either. Like
he played a part in it as well. He let this happen.
Oh yeah, and no.
Well,
yes
come on. He's the government now.
Terrence, just play the devil's advocate. He has let his money inflate 1,000% since he's been in office.
I am not defending Maduro, if that's what it sounds like.
Okay, I'm just saying that, it's a fact.
No, I'm not defending him at all, but I'm saying that it didn't happen in a vacuum either. Things would be bad, but not as bad they are. Look, our fix to this is to sanction them against more aid and more food. We're already fucking starving to death. Like, how's that going to help at all? Who does that help?
Well, Maduro's doing a lot of fucking, dumb shit. He's refusing aid from from Colombia and Brazil. When
I think he's only refusing American-backed aid, and that's because the trucks that we send are filled with mercenaries and guns.
That's true as well, but
they would be like, surprise!
It's still food, but there are people eating out of dumpsters in the streets of Caracas, and the 17 states of Venezuela.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, look, if America's intention was actually to help the Venezuelan people, send food. They will support you to the end of fucking time if you fill their bellies. That's the real truth. When you've got kids eating out of garbage cans, right, their parents will support you forever. They will.
Yeah, I mean, they're going about it all the wrong way. All they have to do is just drone drop food,
Yeah, they will remember that forever. But that's not how we do things. Starving people. That'll work. It's worked every other time we've done it.
You know what's weird about Venezuela is that there's not a lack of food. It's because their money is so inflated to the price of the product. One day you go to the grocery store and it's so many bolivar, which is their currency, and then the next week you go, it's already increased 50-fold while your wages are still the same.
They've got
and you can't even. I mean, you can't
anybody.
use Venezuelan money at all. And I mean, nowhere. It's not like that's one of the problems that people when they leave are having, because like you'll leave with all the money that you had, maybe a couple $100 on you, but as soon as you leave the country, your money is not only
it's worth like 70 cents.
Yeah. Oh, it's not even that. No one will take it. No one will even trade you. You know what I mean? No. Won't even like trade you for it. So like you're completely and utterly broke if you even attempt to leave.
See, the big trick they use on these socialist leaders is the banks come in and give you loans that you can't pay back. If you were smart, you would turn them down. But these guys always go for it, and being the bad managers that they are, they usually fuck it up.
Yeah, loans only work out for the banks, and it's like the World Bank, all of these guys immediately come in. Oh, would you like some more loans?
You signed up for it.
Looks like
you guys love to give it away.
It looks like you're doing really, really bad. How about some loans? Sell your country for $1 million.
Sell your country.
No, that's true. In some of these places, like the amount when you see, like there are horrible loans, but it's like, how much was the loan for? $100 million.
Well, remember what happened with Greece?
Well, you know what Maduro did. 2 years ago, he all of the foreign importers. Chevrolet was the Chevy Volt was being produced in Venezuela about 2.5 years ago, and what they told the plant is that you are no longer owners of the plant. It's now property of Venezuela, and you guys no longer own this. They call it nationalization or some shit.
Yeah. But then they didn't start like producing kick-ass electric cars, which is what they should have done.
Yeah, I don't know what they did with the plant,
like
but it was not the property of Chevrolet. It was the property of Venezuela.
Where you're all like, look, you know what? Fuck Chevrolet. Thanks for the plant. Right? Like,
good luck running it.
Yeah, you guys. But I mean, that's the deal. You should have, like, you've got people working there already, the managers, the floor managers, all of the people. You guys should be able to produce a car, right? You got everything you need here, right? Make us the most kick-ass fucking Venezuelan car you can. But no, that's not what they did at all. No. They just took the money and ran.
For some reason, I mean, they're a big enough country. I mean, really, almost any country is. If you put your mind to it, there's no reason every country on the planet couldn't produce a car. Well, it ain't that fucking hard, man.
Venezuela is actually rich in, many lots of minerals and resources. The problem is that they have been mismanaging their money for 19 years plus, and they thought that Maduro would switch things around, which he didn't. He actually fucked shit up just as bad as the guy before him, if not worse.
Well, you see, they give themselves a pat on the back. And they don't worry about the people.
Oh no, even when it all went down, like all of the money has now left. Like all of the money that they had, through these deals and through all of that, all the money that Venezuela had, like actual capital, is now outside of the country. It's in U.S. banks and I think Russian or Chinese banks. So like the current government moved all of their money to offshore accounts, and the government that they would like to in place, our puppet government, has moved all of their money to America.
Well, it's going to become a war zone here. I mean, you'd be stupid to be investing in Venezuela right now. Honestly.
Well, I guess. Yeah, once America has their fucking sights set on you, man, it's a bad deal.
You know what's going to happen to Venezuela? And, this is already a situation that's already been played out by, a bunch of people. It's that, the citizens eventually, will revolt, and this has already happened a couple of times where even their own military has revolted. But when 100% of their military doesn't respond to Maduro, that's when he's fucked.
Yeah, I mean they're happy to keep the amount of warlord power status that they've got. I mean that is.
I mean, yeah, they might use that card for another 10 or 15 years, but eventually they'll
I think it'll become another Turkey situation. If you remember years ago with Erdogan and what happened in Turkey, where there was a military coup-op, I think that's where we're heading in Venezuela.
Well, they've already tried that. They've already tried a coup, like I think 4 times since I've been following this.
4 times, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was a shootout with their own military 2 years ago. And then
interesting. I didn't know that.
Then there was another one a couple of years, like a year ago, and I believe there was something recently as well. But
that drone attack.
Yeah, there was a drone attack, and then a few months ago,
I remember hearing about
there was even members of their own military that were leaving to Colombia and Brazil because they were afraid if Juan Guaido was going to become president that they would be guilty of war crimes because their own military was shooting their own people.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's what governments do, man. It's all.
Yeah,
you always look at their COG programs. They will always go to that. It's like, what's the last thing you'll do? Well, just shoot them in the head.
Well, there's a problem. There's a problem when the military would rather fight for the establishment than protect its own citizens. Then you have a problem.
Well, they're fighting. I mean, they're fighting for the power and position that they have. Right now they're all local fucking warlords and chieftains. They get, fear from, respect from fear. And a lot of people, the monkey part of their brain is really down with that. People fear you. They respect you. They cower in the streets. They bring you up bread when your limousine comes by. The fact that they're starving as soon as you leave is not your problem. It's just it's broken down so far, but our answers to any of it only make things worse. The food situation is a big deal. Getting people, so that they aren't starving. I mean, there's all sorts of things that we could do that would really help Venezuela. We're not doing any of them.
But you see, this is what's going on in Venezuela is. There is not a lack of resources. There is a lack of money. There is not a lack of food either. There's just a lack of people being able to afford food.
Yeah, but these are, you're going to have to make emergency deals. You're going to have to do if there is food, you're going to have to make the deals to make to get your people food. And like I said, our fix to this is just a further violence and bombs. And I don't understand how that's going to help in any way, shape, or form. Nothing that we're doing is helping the situation. I'm not saying that the situation's good. I'm not saying that the people involved aren't corrupt. I'm not saying any of that, but you definitely ain't helping.
Well,
we're dying of cancer.
I don't know. Welfare program, I don't know.
More cancer. Our fixes are fucking, I'm starving to death. Bullet to the head. Guns. Send them guns. More guns. Mercenaries, send them mercenaries. Death squads. How about some death squads? That's nothing. A death squad has never helped the situation. Name a good time. Name a time and you're like, you know what? I'm happy they sent those death squads.
Yeah, they usually get out of hand killing everybody else when they run out of people that they were supposed to be killing.
They're called they're called death squads. I'm not sure what else you expect them to do.
It's their job.
Yeah, they're I signed up to be a death squad. Would you?
It's like a cartel hitman. I mean, it's like he's used to killing. I mean, just because he doesn't work just for you. I mean, he'll work for anybody.
Yeah.
Fuck.
You know what we call Nazis where I'm from. Look, man, I'm already comfortable being called a Nazi. What are you going to call me that's worse than that? When you're dealing with already horrible people, it's hard to fucking even deal with how far this has gone into insanity. Most of these situations, there are so much that we can do to help, but we have no intention of helping. We send death squads, and I mean, just the continued nightmare that we've always sent for the same reasons. It's either bananas or oil or, drugs or whatever our new reason for screwing you over is. We've always got communism. Could be communist there. You know what we do to communists? Kill more innocent people.
We use them as our death squads.
Yeah, well, every country that has supported communism has almost all of them have fallen. Like
China or Russia?
Well, China's still around, but that's not even real communism.
How about Vietnam?
That's not real communism either.
I was there.
It's
man.
always
they seem pretty communist. They really do love their communism. Well, communism is a political standing, not an economic system. So, we like to put communism and capitalism as opposites, and that is not the case.
Well, no. I would say what they have in China and Vietnam and the remaining.
China's like a dictatorship now.
It's like, what do you call it? Crony. What is Preston?
Crony
capitalism. Crony
communism.
Something
crony
like that.
communism.
Yeah. It's like a mixture of capitalism and communism, but communism in its true form, like the Russians have it, doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I mean, look, like the isms that we throw out there, none of those exist in purity outside of, you know what I mean, guys with pipes minds. So the deal is that, communism has never worked well in the world. Two of the most powerful countries on the planet are communist.
Well, yeah, Yugoslavia tried it as well, and look what they did. They established, exuberant military bases all over the Baltic states.
Yeah, I mean, look, the same with capitalism, communism, all of this. Look, authoritarianism is our problem. Police states are our problem. The isms are pointless. Isms are how you control your money and distribute it throughout your people. Those aren't what's destroying any of our countries. That's not what's destroying our world. Insane power inside of our lead, authoritarianism, that's the problem. In my mind, like, shit, you know what I mean? It's definitely an opinion, but the communism doesn't work. That they're going to come back. Capitalism doesn't work. Fuck no, none of that shit works. None of that shit's real.
I would just to give you the benefit of the doubt, I would say that no leader that throughout the history of communism has had a well-sound mind. I got to give you that.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I was in Vietnam, Vietnam is extremely communist. They are pretty proud, the way that we're proud of capitalism. They stand up in the same way it's the only other country that I went to that had, that stood up and did the Pledge of Allegiance, that had, instead of the little American flag, they had a picture of Mao on the walls. It's the only other country that I've ever been to that did that. They were patriotically communist, right? And it was an absolute mirror of America. I don't know how to explain that to you, but when you went to a school, if they were singing the American anthem, you would think it was America. Well, right? And they had that same.
They have a history of fighting the Chinese. I mean, they're very.
They also fought the French.
They're a tight knit group. I mean,
nobody comes in to fuck. The Chinese gave it a go too.
The French.
Everybody, the Khmer Empire also gave it a go. They're very happy being Vietnamese, right? Being Vietnam. And very happy being, from what I saw, they were loving, it was a normal country, right? But definitely successful.
Yeah.
And I walked around, never harassed by the police. Nobody tried to shoot at me. Didn't see any gun violence while I was there. None of that fucking, craziness. My life was never threatened. Nobody was monitoring me. Like, none of that shit. It was, it was really weird to be in the countries that are seen as being like, our absolute enemies.
Well, you've been to Myanmar, right? That's truly communist.
I don't know what even to call that, man.
That's a military dictatorship.
Yeah, that was a military dictatorship.
They're a weird one.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I don't even know what to tell you. What kind of government that was? A complete and utter
shit
nightmare.
Show?
Yeah, just a shit show.
That's every government.
North Korea.
Yeah, the country of Myanmar is one of the most beautiful places in the world.
It's also one of the most fucked up places in the world right now, where they're creating genocide.
Oh yeah, mind your P's and Q's. Like, don't be in the wrong place at the wrong time. If you're Muslim in that country, your life is
dead. Yeah, you are dead meat.
And there is like no love lost. We were sitting on the beach, me and 3 other guys. I mean, just a normal day, hanging out, minding our own business. A squad of soldiers came down, marched a small village, maybe 100 people, down to the side of the river, the beach that we were at, mowed them down and walked away. Didn't even pick up the bodies. Right? Just mowed them down in the river and kept walking. Like they were making a sandwich.
That's horrible.
And with that, like that, you know what I mean? The cold disdain that you see in like the eyes of Nazi soldiers, you know what I mean? It's like they're taking care of an animal. They don't see you as human. And that was, I mean, an everyday event on the large scale or the small scale in Myanmar. Whether they were killing 100 people or whether they were killing 10 people, just really how many they got a hold of that day. And like totally normal inside of the country, and it was, I don't know how to explain it, where you go from like this untouched, serene beach to a bloodbath in like 2 seconds. But yeah, that was not something that I saw in Vietnam, in China, in any of those places. Like the exact opposite. You were, safe in Vietnam. You know, maybe some of the tourist spots, you know, where people knew you were a tourist, you know, some, you know, pickpockets and shit like that.
You weren't safe during Viet Cong.
You know, people are never happy with you invading their country. Look, everybody that you met, right, over the age of 40, 50, right, was in Vietnam, right, was a Vietnamese soldier. They all served against the American Empire, right, you know, to fight us. They had to. So everybody that you walked into that was, you know what I mean, about 40 years old, right, was there.
They're probably like, now, damn fucking American.
Oh no,
damn fucking American.
Vietnam, they had so much. It was a weird, because you know, knowing me, like I went and asked everybody every question that I possibly could. You know, if I knew somebody was in a certain spot or famous battles or any of that, and every single soldier that I talked to, every Viet Cong soldier that I talked to, had a huge amount of respect for the American soldier. Absolutely hated the American government, everything that we stood for. But the American soldier wanted the exact same thing that they wanted. They wanted to go home. And you'd hear every single one of the Viet Cong soldiers that I talked to had a story about, you know, 3 or 4 Americans that were stuck in a foxhole, and they would tell you the same thing. Some rocks are easier to go around. You could send 1,000 troops at that foxhole, and as long as those 4 guys were in there, they would fight. They would hold back 1,000 men. No matter how many you sent up there, no matter how voracious, those 4 guys would hold that foxhole for fucking ever. So they just go around you. It was easier to go around those mountains than it was to fucking fight up them. Right, and it was a thing that they said with respect towards the American soldiers, right? That, you know, that they remember in the way that you hear other warriors talk about other warriors, but they would laugh about it. Fuck, man! Well, if there were 4 guys in a foxhole on that hill, you would never get them out.
One of my friends'
We'd send 1,000 troops up there.
One of my friend's dads, you know, he was in the Vietnam War. You know, when it right around the time that it had started, and they had this weird thing where you couldn't stop. Whoa, I'm getting some weird feedback.
Yeah.
You hear that?
Too much truth there for one day.
Well, yeah, you know what initially was the plan was to attack the ports of entry and where the resources were coming in, but at that point in time of the war, you couldn't do that. You know?
Basically how the Vietnamese beat us is like there was nothing to win. So like you would take over a city, right? The people in that city went off with their lives, right? Went on with their lives. They still went to work. They went back and forth. They're still Viet Cong, right? They almost ignored completely what you're doing. Like you feel like you're in control because I control this city, but it means nothing. What does that mean? I'm a baker, right? Are you Viet Cong? Oh yeah. As soon as these American pigs leave, I'm going on with my life. But you don't control anything of substance, and that was our problem. We were fighting the game of chess, right? You control the cities, you control a couple of kings, you control the board. They were playing Go, right?
They're also trying to control the weather.
We did everything we possibly could.
If you remember with the Pentagon Papers, where it came out, it said that they were trying to cause monsoons in Vietnam.
So this is by firing rockets filled with aluminum flakes, powdered aluminum.
Yep.
And what it does is it makes clouds extremely heavy. So if you can fire enough rockets with enough powdered aluminum in there, you can make the clouds heavy enough to make it rain. And there is talk that the just constant monsoon that was on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And by the way, the Ho Chi Minh Trail now is like a 4-lane highway. You wouldn't know like what you imagine in the fucking like movies. That does not exist anymore.
Really?
Right? It's like it's just there's only a couple of bases that are kept just for like historical purposes, and there's like one that's way up on the top of a mountain that you go up to that was like a helicopter base that there was like a huge battle at.
Seymour Hersh wrote about that too.
But there's not like the bases, everything that we put down in the Vietnam War. Those are cities now, like 100,000, 200,000 man cities. In the road, what we consider like, I'm putting in quotations, the Ho Chi Minh Trail, that's a 4-lane highway that goes like up the middle of the country.
Yep.
Well, the mistake we made was using a military to try to achieve a political goal. That never works.
Yeah, and
that is the biggest mistake that the armies and governments ever make, and they did it there.
Well, and they have to. We say the same thing. We actually, it should have put up a red flag right away. The exact same words that we used in Vietnam. We will win the hearts and minds of the Vietnamese people. We also said that we were going to win the hearts and minds of the Iraqi people. And unfortunately, the two things that you need,
I think we've learned something.
The two things that you need to win a war is either their hearts or their mind. They have to agree with you morally or politically. And if you don't have either of those things, you will never win that engagement. So if you go into an engagement and you say, we need to win their hearts and minds, they don't agree with you morally and that you're defending them, let's say, you know what I mean, in World War II, right? They might not, Poland doesn't agree with you politically, but they agree with you morally in fighting the Nazis, right? Russia doesn't agree with you politically, but they agree with you morally in fighting the Nazis. Or you have to fight, or you know what I mean. You have to agree with them politically, like they're a capitalist country, and you don't, and they don't want communism in. But if you don't have either, you've got zero support with the people on the ground, and there's no port unless you're planning on killing everyone and turning it into a parking lot. There's no port. There's no point. There's nobody to free. They will always hate you because they don't agree with you on the only two things that we have in our culture to agree on.
Well, I think we've learned anytime the U.S. says that they want to win over the hearts and minds of another country, don't fucking trust it. Yeah, I
would say just about any time they ask you to go to war with a country outside of that doesn't, on the other side of the world, they're lying to you.
Well, yeah,
that's called offensive.
Government change should always happen internally.
Powerful military in the world, hands down, the most in history ever. America, its shores are in no fear of any country in the world at all. At all.
For now.
There is no country in the world that is going to take over America. Russia is not going to invade New Mexico. Do you know how long Russians are going to fucking last in Arizona? Right? That is not logical. There are 3 guns for every 1 American. There is no way you're going to take over Texas. Which part of Korea do you expect to take over Texas?
They don't have enough people.
Right? That's just not reality. LAX has a bigger police department than most countries' militaries. Right? LAX's police department is bigger. Just the airport's police department is bigger than the entire Iraqi and Iranian fucking military altogether. We are in fear of from no other country at all. Our shores will never be attacked by another country. That's not real. So every time we need to go to war with Venezuela, with North Korea, with all of those countries, it's not real. The fear-mongering that North Korea is going to invade America.
They have missiles, 3 of them.
Oh yeah, and even then, right?
3.
Even then, you're going to.
They have missiles that don't work.
Well, no,
they shot them and they fell out the sky.
You could, right? You may be able to launch a missile at Anchorage, and then you will cease to exist as a country.
Well, last time they launched a missile, it went towards China.
It's
like North Korea.
Yeah, well, don't do that. Don't. I wouldn't play those games, right? But the deal is that even if, you know what I mean, even if it's achievable, and it's not even logical. But, look, let's say we saw in Iraq, okay, and I'll put this out in as easy terms as I can, right? Saddam Hussein had the best trained, best equipped military in the region. He had the best tanks money could buy. He had the best anti-aircraft systems the money could buy, the best jets. Oh, he had plenty of aircraft, right?
It was subpar. Great. I give it that.
They're a great jet. They're a great jet. The Sukhois he had a great military.
which are 20 years old.
The F-16 is 20 years old.
F-14.
All of our fighter jets are 20 years old. F-15 is 20 years old.
Yeah.
All of our jets are 20 years old. The F-22 is newer, but it doesn't fucking work, so that doesn't matter. That's not what we use.
I got you.
Right? So, I mean, when you come through all of it, right, that was the best equipped military in the world. Do you know how his entire air defenses, the surface-to-air missiles, the satellites, the planes, all of it, do you know how long they lasted?
2 hours.
Minutes. No, 7 minutes before we had complete and utter control of his airspace.
Well,
minutes.
Were you there when they deployed at the airport?
At Baghdad International?
Yeah, because I had a few. Well, I had a few friends that were there, and they told me they didn't even have anti-aircraft missiles set up. So what they did is they got 50 caliber machine guns, and they just started shooting them wherever in the sky, and that was literally their air defense system.
Yeah, I wasn't ground forces. So there's the deal. I was ex-Air Force. So look, when you see the videos, you see tons of rounds going up in the air, right? Those 50 cal rounds, anti-aircraft guns. Bum, 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 bum. And they were the Republican Guard was shooting everything that they possibly could. Unfortunately, their range is only like 1.5 miles.
Yeah, and the planes were much higher than that.
It's not just much higher. We were shooting off fucking missiles from the Mediterranean. Right, we're shooting missiles off from the middle of, you know what I mean? We're shooting missiles off from the bottom of fucking of Italy. You are so like it's not even, you know what I mean? It's not even a reality. You know, you couldn't have hit us in your wildest dreams. The range on surface to air missiles on air to ground missiles is hundreds of thousands of miles or thousands of miles sometimes, depending on the rocket.
Well, that's what I was talking about, is that their air defense system was 50 caliber machine guns. It was ridiculous.
Oh, no, they had actual air defense systems. They were gone within seconds.
They had weapons of mass
destruction. They had great weapons, the best weapon systems that the Chinese and Russians would sell you. I mean, they had great missile and rocket systems, anti-aircraft systems. They had T-74s were awesome, right?
Like a generic version of the Abrams.
Oh yeah, but I mean, how long? We didn't lose a single Abrams to enemy fire. We only hit the ground for like 20 of them. We ran through something like 300 fucking tanks in a day. We lost more tanks to breaking down than we did to enemy fire. We didn't lose any to enemy fire, and we just left them. Fuck it.
And then ISIS took them over.
But that's the deal. Like, I mean, again, you know, ISIS is a fabricated enemy. Stop selling them weapons. Stop selling them training.
Yeah, those Toyotas came from somewhere, you know.
Pentagon funds them.
Yeah, we need an enemy.
They fund the moderate, quote unquote, moderate rebels that are connected to ISIS. So it's like
you turn your ISIS T-shirt inside out when you walk in. Okay, you don't. Hey, you don't hate America, do you? No. I love America. Yes, I want to go to base. Show me base.
Give me weapons. Oh god!
Just like when they changed the law, you know, like they changed the law on whether we could or couldn't sell surface to air missiles to insurgent fighters or moderate rebels in Syria. Like that, I don't understand how you had that conversation and not know what was going on. You know, we need
seriously,
surface to air missiles. No.
Well, John,
what is a little Russian? It was a little Russian. That wasn't. Yeah.
That wasn't. Come on. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's always a bad idea. You shouldn't be selling anybody to surface-to-air missiles, like at all.
Well, I mean, it's obvious what they're used for. I mean,
you don't get. Hey! You aren't going to shoot these at us, are you?
You wouldn't take an airliner down, would you?
Would you? Wouldn't you?
It sounds like that commercial. You wouldn't download a car, would you?
Yeah, I mean, we come up with the worst ideas, and it's always the same. All right, so you know those psychopathic murderers that said they'd kill anybody for money? We've hired them. That's how you're starting this situation. In 2019, we are now negotiating with Al-Qaeda for Afghanistan.
Well, that's what you need the CIA guys like John McCain for, so you can cut deals like that.
Al-Qaeda controls 60% of Afghanistan. We actually did nothing, really.
So that was a win.
No, yeah, all of the troops' efforts in Afghanistan over the 11 years or however long we've been fighting over there did absolutely nothing. Al-Qaeda controls a majority of Afghanistan.
Well, see, Tyler, that's what you call a win.
It's been way more than 11 years.
About negotiating with them why at that point? Why are you negotiating with anybody? Just fuck off. Like, what do you have to negotiate, right? You have to negotiate your backing out slowly.
Well,
Just leave.
When we invaded Afghanistan, what people didn't realize, is that Afghanistan by history has been run by tribes for hundreds of years, and that's the way it's always been ran. So when we said that we could establish a democracy, it was bullshit,
Look, it's Afghan land. It's theirs, but I think it is hilarious that, we're right now posting fucking videos of 9/11 and all of that shit, and like the whole game that we played in 15 years of American lives and innocent people and fucking this war, and we're negotiating with the Taliban rather than just leaving. What could you possibly have to negotiate? Weapons, right?
As far as Al-Qaeda,
now that they're the actual government, then they're going to need guns, right? You're going to need M16s, rockets.
Al-Qaeda is also fighting the war in Yemen, so I think that's what that's about.
I mean, what does that mean? Do they need more or less U.S. guns?
Probably more.
Well, no. It's like a contractor crew. You got to keep them busy. If they're not doing your job over here, you got to move them to some other place. Keep them busy, or they get restless.
Who knows what they'll do. Yeah, and look, what are the chances of them like turning on us and attacking us with these guns and training?
Honestly, zero, because Al-Qaeda doesn't really have an air force. All they got is machine guns and trucks.
I would say 100%. If you turn your back,
I don't know, man.
They didn't really need an air force for 9/11. I mean, Saudi Arabia got us pretty good, and I don't think they flew an F-16 over here.
Well, they test run. They ran dry runs of 9/11 crashing a plane.
The crews did, yeah.
Yeah,
the Saudi crews, yeah.
And the Saudis
practice makes perfect.
Right. Well, the Saudis diplomats help with that.
It just seems like a bad. What are you doing? All right, we're just going to practice smashing these planes into a building, for training. But why? Why would we be training to do that? Don't train to do that. Nobody trained to do that. Stop. All of you, stop training to do that.
Well, you notice how many movies were made beforehand? I mean, the Twin Towers were like a symbol of American financial power. That's what they wanted it to be, and that's how other people kind of took it as well. I mean, they became a magnet for something to happen. It's like knocking those down is like the prize.
Oh yeah, you're right. Like in '94, they tried to bomb.
It could have been a symbol for peace and prosperity around the globe. I mean, it wasn't like they were a symbol for gutless capitalism, which may have been why they were such a target.
Well, the first World Trade Center bombing, that plot was helped along by the FBI.
Yeah, 94.
Helping along Ahmad Salam, saying, "Here you go. Here's some bomb powder."
No, they give
bomb making
parts.
Materials.
Yeah, here's some bomb making materials, and here, go make a bomb and blow up the basement. And
who comes up with these ideas? Like, who sits around and thinks of this shit?
Well, that was actually the New York FBI. That was actually the New York FBI.
Yeah, they have to justify their existence. So you have to come up with stuff like that. Because if it's just grassroots, let's face it, there ain't many guys going to come doing that. I mean, in the big scheme of things, there aren't that many people attacking the United States government.
Well, they justified it. You
don't need a friggin' agency to cover shit like this. There's not much going on.
No, we got 5 of them. We got like all the agencies.
Yeah, it's like you spend $80 billion for what? Security.
They justified
just let them blow up wherever they're going to blow up. The insurance cost would be far less than that.
Well, they justified it to try to stop it, is what they said, but that doesn't make sense.
But
because if you're trying to stop it,
like now we have to act like Department of Homeland Security and the NSA are like these like they were put into the Constitution and not made less than 20 years ago. Like they're both agencies that are younger than my fucking kids.
That's why you don't do this. That's why you don't create agencies that are, that aren't constitutional, because it always turns out like this. Government always turns out this way.
Yeah, it always starts out with 4 guys in an office, and then, 20 years later, we've got this glass skyscraper and fucking murder squads and assassins and whatever else.
They all need secretaries and then crews, and then you need advisors and lawyers, and
Well, yeah, 30 lawyers to protect your ass from from whistleblowers revealing your corruption.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They're all designed to protect us from whistleblowers. It's pretty much what all of them are set up to do now. If they're listening to stuff, you think, are they listening to terrorists or are they listening to whistleblowers? Right now. Are they listening to terrorists or are they listening to people trying to spread the truth about their owners?
Everybody.
They're
that they track it all, man.
Yeah, they're listening to.
They're saving it all. They're not just listening; they're saving it all.
It's all saved to that Utah data facility.
And that's one of the leaks, right? The NSA spying program, right? Watching Barack Obama come out on stage, completely deny the NSA spying program, and then less than a day later coming out and the same existed.
Yeah.
Not only did it
that's because it was too much evidence that got out. So it's like you can't deny it anymore.
I promised that I shut down the secret program that I wasn't going to tell you about because it's secret. It just like
that sounds like something Trump would say.
Well, Trump followed Boom Shakalaka, so now come on, it's all the same thing. Hillary's.
It was right. Yeah. When it comes to that, like. They're never talking, they never expose look, Trump can expose anything he wants, right? He can make anything not secret anymore that he wants, right? He made that very clear in the beginning of his presidency. Look at all the things that they haven't declassified. Right? What are the numbers on the Jones strikes? Right? What are they like?
Yeah. I just want to know who killed fucking Kennedy and why they keep on keeping everything all redacted. It's been 50 years. It's time to tell the truth on who the fuck killed Kennedy.
Yeah.
And George H.W. Bush is dead, so, you can tell the truth by now.
Slaves don't ever need to know. They're going to pat you on the head, and you get to sit down and shut up. That's the deal.
Yeah, come on. Like, they just put George W. Bush on a stamp. Right, he's on one of the national stamps now that just came out. One of the things, yeah, big picture of him fucking smiling on there, big old war criminal.
Well, I guess maybe we can start a new war criminal stamps collection, and we can start putting all these war criminals on the stamps, and then we don't use letters anymore. That's great use.
I guess if nothing sends you're a relic from a world that we're desperately trying to get away from than fucking toxic stamps.
And then putting you on a fucking stamp.
Yeah. These we put on letters. What is a letter?
W.
That's like an email that you cut down a tree to send.
Yeah, they're giving you letters now. See, they gave you W and then they gave you Q. You see what we're doing? Now we're going to give you well, it's only 2 letters. We got a whole alphabet.
Well, no, they don't let you use X because that has some bad connotation to it. We'll start getting together. Remember when Facebook?
Q's got some bad connotation to it.
You remember when Facebook had
Remember when Q said
the black X? They got that. They got rid of that real quick.
Remember when Q said that Assange wasn't in the embassy and then he was dragged out the embassy today?
That's proof.
Yep.
Is that too soon?
No, I mean you're 100% right. Q is a bunch of bullshit.
That's the obvious, but
I'll just remember Q assured us it's all going to be okay. Just follow the plan. Right? Follow the leader. He knows what he's doing. Right? He knows what he's doing. Just
everybody knows the plan makes sense and the plan's good. Everybody knows that.
Don't ask questions. Don't ask questions. Way too many questions.
Just follow the plan to invade Iran.
Exactly. Look at them. Look at them there being Iranian.
Selling
gates and shit.
Well,
we've ran out of things. Look at Iran there, killing ISIS. You bastards. We were literally out there. You stop that right now. What are they doing? They're killing ISIS. A lot of them. They're really tearing through them, and it's making us look bad.
You're not allowing us to continue our war on terror.
Yeah, we had this whole plan of paying moderate rebels to keep this war ongoing, and you're just killing all the ISIS members, and it's really fucking stuff up. We're gonna end up having to leave. We can't do any more false flags. They're catching on.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. Like, there's only
we get caught every time we do one. You know?
Well,
seriously,
they tried to do.
When was the last time that they actually ran a successful false flag attack in the Middle East that didn't get caught?
Maybe in the 50s, back in the Middle East in the 50s.
They keep
maybe
on doing it. They're like, oh, there was a guy
called Dick Cheney and asked for advice.
Small. I don't know exactly what Dick Cheney chinks about. Yeah, that was his number one question.
Yeah. Is there oil there? If there's not, don't worry about it. If there is, well, fire it up. You guys know what to do.
Yeah, I'm ready when you are.
We got Jacob Rothschild. Well, look at this Genie Energy Board. Jacob Rothschild, Cheney. There's a long list of scum.
Yeah, like meanwhile, at the Temple of Doom.
Yeah, and then just by chance, Trump gives that land to Israel. You can't get a fucking wall built on our border. He couldn't give a shit about our border. But hey, Israel, we'll not just move the border forward. We'll give you the land too. How does that sound? Oh,
how does that work?
Yeah, man. Make Israel great again, man.
Give shit away. I don't
how the fuck does the U.S. Yeah, seriously, how does the U.S. give land away that isn't the U.S.'s?
This is proof that, look, the old adage was if your troops are standing in the other guy's capital, you're the winner, right? Well, now see if your troops are covering the globe, you're the winner. That's how it works.
You can just give it. I mean, I'm sure that every native on the planet just went, yeah, no shit. Fuckers are always giving away other people's land. That's kind of their thing.
Who's going to say no?
Monrovia, we're like, look, we feel real bad about fucking over all these slaves, so we're just going to ship them back over and give them Monrovia. Do they have any skills working in Africa? No, man, we've been in 4 generations in America. You are fucked. But we gave everyone guns, so it's all good. So Monrovia is that little country in Africa that we turned into a nightmare by exporting a group of slaves. They did give them freedom, but just machine guns, and told them go fucking nuts.
Liberia.
Yeah, Monrovia, okay. Liberia. They're the same place. It changes every couple of years because it is everything you expect a state built by America in the middle of Africa would be.
Oh, Libya? Yeah, it's
a gun supplying militia.
I don't know what to call it, man. It's like a bazaar, but in country.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I have no idea what it is now.
It's where you go to buy AK-47s, and that's all I know. American manufactured rocket propelled grenades. When we were there, it was pretty much just a good place to buy firearms. I mean, cool ones.
Yeah, you keep them down though. It's a warlord kind of complex. You don't get it at MIC. It's a warlord type.
I'll tell you this much: you can buy an AK-47. Now, not the good Russian made, but a Chinese made AK-47 for about $25.
Not bad.
$25.
Well, shit. Let's buy a bunch of them and flip them over here, man. You mean 10 to 1 on that?
There's those. Wasn't that what those guys in Florida were doing? They were buying bulk 5.56 and 7.62 rounds, and then selling them back to the U.S. government exactly like that.
Wait, so they were selling to the U.S. government?
Well, they were buying them from the U.S. government when they never actually touched a round of ammunition, but they would buy them, so we have these huge contracts where we want to sell 100 billion rounds to fucking Africa, right?
Yeah.
So they would buy the 150 billion rounds to what was supposed to go to Africa, and then they would sell it back to the U.S. government at markup, because that's how the U.S. government works. Right, so they would sell. When they were selling them to Africans, they want to get as many bullets out of the population as possible, right, to keep it as destabilized. So they are dirt fucking cheap. But then when they buy them back from U.S. companies, you're paying $1 a bullet, right? So you make, they made, millions of dollars off of these fucking pretty much evil arms trades, and never traded with anybody but U.S. government and U.S. government truck contractors.
I need to get in that kind of business, man. That's all I can say. That sounds real lucrative.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in
the wrong business.
It's insane that we're like that many trillions of dollars in debt when all we do is sell guns and drugs, which are like the only two things that are guaranteed to make money. Like, how do you not make money on guns and drugs? Guy down the street is making money hands over fist. He's got six spinning rims on his car. It's like a tank with fucking like an armored personnel character with 4 fucking tires on it.
All these guys that are doing it are making a ton of money.
Yeah, see, that's the deal, but we just not us. Well, because they make the money, but then we don't tax them, or like we don't get to see any of that money. It's all our money, but we don't get to see any of it.
That's called black budget.
It used to be. Now it's a lot more open, right? Because we subcraft everything out. Civilian contractors are the way to go. What used to be like dirty is now done like straight out in the open. It's just that's how we do business.
In some ways, I mean, mostly it's laundered through offshore bank accounts. Years ago, what they used to do is they would use BCCI, and then they would transfer the money from the BCCI bank, and they would run it from offshore accounts to whatever organization that they wanted to run it to.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a pretty free, and open ability to move money around and pay terrible people. I mean, to the tune of trillions in some cases. They've got plenty of money to do bad shit.
Yeah, if you're running that
show,
they have
money to do good shit, though.
I don't think there's been a single case of them using any of that money to do. There's never been a positive black project. There's never been a CIA agent sits down and says, "Look, we need to get, I want this oil, right? We need to get support from the people on the ground. We sent nothing but, we sent tons of clandestine baby formula and fucking medicine, right? We infiltrated by sending as many doctors as we possibly could to help the population, right? You never ever hear that. It never happens. It has never ever happened.
No, it's more. We sent our military over there to fuck them up, completely ruin their country, and now we own the oil fields.
Yeah, instead of like if you feed people, they will give it to you happily.
Well, nobody, all these countries we attack, nobody has ever threatened to cut off our oil. Have you noticed that? Nobody has actually threatened to supply
because
of the
Saudis
wouldn't sell it to us.
Mainly because of the Saudis.
Yeah, I mean, we don't. That's crazy talk.
We just have to control it. It's always about the control. We have to control the oil. It's like, well, are they refusing to sell it to you? No. Well, then what's the problem? What's this control thing? It's like, well, we got to control it. They're just a bunch of control freaks. That's what you are.
Well, the problem is that they built their houses on the land of our oil.
Oh yeah, see that does cause a
there
problem
you go.
when you build our shit, when you build your houses, like your family or your home, like on your ancestral land, right? That really bothers us.
But it's our oil.
Yeah, you've built it on top of our oil, and that really causes us some problems.
Well, see, they've been saying that long enough in the news. I mean, you actually hear. I mean, hell, I say it too. It's like. You get used to saying it, and then you get a snap like, "Oh yeah, it's really their oil." Fuck,
Yeah, that's not. It turns out we don't.
Really
turns out we don't own the world. I know it's hard. It seems like we try to act like we do, but yeah, it turns out we don't actually own the planet.
Yeah, the propaganda's so good. They've said it so long, and that's the idea. They get you used to it. It's like, oh well, of course we have to be involved. They're messing with my gas tank. God forbid if I can't stick that nozzle in my gas tank. That's what
propaganda is in most cases.
I'll be fucked.
In most cases, propaganda is used repeating trigger phrases on TV now. For instance, I'll give weapons of mass destruction. That's a trigger phrase. Russia collusion.
War on terror.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep, war on terror is another one that I said before.
That justifies
everything. Yeah, because right now, Assange for all of for everything that we've talked about today, Julian's charged with national security.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, that gives you an open. You can break any law, any normal convention, international law, kill people. It's national security.
It's okay.
Do you not feel more secure knowing that WikiLeaks isn't able to expose the corruption inside of our government? You feel more secure nationally? You know, he stopped our operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. Well, I mean, good. Your illegal wars. I mean, what? I'm supposed to feel bad? I don't understand.
He stopped our 5 year 5 years, 7 countries
plan to murder all these people. He exposed our civilian casualties on the ground. You know, you don't remember CNN running that story? Fox News, ABC, NBC, New York Times. Do you remember any single news organization?
I think RT might have been the only one to ever report. I think
the first time I heard
General Wesley Clark's statement.
That's just
Democracy Now! No, Democracy Now!
The 7-year
Democracy
plan?
Now! Did report on it. Yeah.
And what, didn't they try to arrest the head of fucking or the reporter? What is her name?
Amy Goodman.
Amy Goodman. Didn't they try to arrest her and have her charged, leaving fucking Standing Rock?
Yeah.
We let that slide.
Well, she did take some equipment. I mean,
that was Jill Stein.
Really?
Jill Stein was the one that spray painted the truck. Amy Goodman just went there and took interviews.
Yeah.
Well, she was giving assistance to known domestic terrorists.
Yeah. Oh no, it's called environmental terrorism now, and they've started to push this. No, they started to cut.
You have bad news because I think yesterday or the day before, Trump signed another executive order, essentially okaying eminent domain and all but said water protectors and it's a protecting the infrastructure EO that just came out.
Yeah, really? that sounds about right.
That's a day or two old.
Sounds like Trump's probably going to be punishing protesters for going after pipelines.
Yeah, so get those free Terrence Daniels hashtags ready if you would.
I don't know if you guys are following your Twitter feed, but there's some weird shit going on my at least on my Twitter feed, where it's saying White House is considering busing ICE detainees to sanctuary cities.
Yeah, so they want to. They're having a real problem. The same way that all Nazi groups do. They start arresting people, and then they run out of places to put them. That's how we ended up with the showers. You know, with the mass genocide to begin with, was because you get all of these people, and then you have no way to take care of them. And that's the problem that ICE has now had, is that they have arrested millions of people, and there's no way to process them. They just arrested all the brown people they possibly could, and now they've got no way to deal with them. So they're just busting them.
They are illegal immigrants. I mean, let's be clear.
You know what I think
they're not really supposed. They're foreign nationals who have gotten lost and can't find their way home. Okay, they actually belong somewhere else. They're foreign nationals.
I do see that to some extent that we've arbitrarily counted one group of people as being illegal. So I mean, does get into that thing that they made up a law, but it's just a law. Look, you didn't hear the words of people being illegal until our generation. This wasn't something that they talked about when they were doing Ellis Island, when they were when they're making the Statue of Liberty, when most of our ancestors came here.
As Immortal Technique says, he says that the borders weren't here before the Bible, and he says that the borders were illegal. He says that the borders should be illegal instead of the people.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, there comes a point where we get to, look, you need to be, whatever means, to work, to do any of that. But look, if you're not a criminal, what is the deal? You can't put just being a person, being born somewhere as being illegal. That's wrong.
Well, yeah, the Trump administration also wants to, he personally wants to get rid of birthright as well. So there's a lot of problems with, what's going on in this administration when it pertains to any of that shit.
Now, my thing is, look, if the question is that you're working here without papers, right? You just, you snuck over, blah, blah, blah. You feel that they did something wrong. Why do we have to support the military-industrial complex in it? Why is the only way we have to deal with things is by locking people up in a prison and making the prison-industrial complex money? That's what this is about. It's not about immigration.
Well, yeah,
right. It's not about any of those things. If I get caught doing something breaking the law, misdemeanor, right, staying, working somewhere without papers, right, is against the law, fine them.
Well,
they have to go home.
You know what? I don't see the problem is why not are we making the process to become an American citizen more streamlined than to detain them as illegal immigrants? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and why do you have to go back to why do you have to go anywhere? Why is it my prerogative to tell another person where they can and can't go on the planet?
Well,
you can fly anywhere, but you need to go home when you're done.
But what if you look? That's your home now. That's where I want to live in California. I don't want to live in fucking anywhere. I want to live in California.
Okay, so I can just go anywhere and claim it as mine. Well, then we're getting back to the oil. It's like, well, then I can just take anybody that has oil because I just have to claim it's our oil.
Well, there's a difference in living your life somewhere than claiming it's yours. And I mean, does that, like, at a certain point, are you saying, well, I bought property? Well, I mean, you bought property. You bought that property.
Well, I think there's a bigger question, that's underlying here is because when you become a citizen of another country, you swear and uphold, you swear allegiance to that country, and
right.
That's the bigger question that is at hand here. So,
well, I think most people that are immigrants are more than patriotic.
Yeah, most of them don't give a fuck. They'd rather, I'm going to go where there's a better opportunity. That's really all that there is.
They don't want to stand in line. They want to cut the line and be first. There is a process.
A point, there's not. It's like saying, okay, when you were leaving Nazi Germany, right? Do you need to stand in line?
The process in America, on average, to become a full citizen in America can take anywhere from 11 to 12 years.
And when you
That's
get to
by design, there's a reason for that. You want good people. You don't want MS-13 and all the rest of the scum and everybody else that wants to come here because it's better. That makes no sense.
I don't see there being an issue with finding MS-13. Like, it's put in there arbitrarily. Like the hunting down criminal entities, right? That has nothing to do with immigration. You should be doing that anyway. If the MS-13 exists with or without immigration. MS-13 members don't have a problem to say, okay, well, we can't let in this family that's starving from the war we created because of MS-13. MS-13, the dude's got a fucking MS-13 tattooed on his forehead. That's what you have to get to be part of the gang. That's not hard to find. But we act like we can't tell the difference between a mother holding their child, right, escaping for whatever, going to a better life. That's how your Irish family got here. That's how your German family got here. That's part of being an American. That might not be part of being Finland, right? That might not be part of being Norway. That might not be part of being old Europe. But we're not old Europe. This is America. And that's the difference. That's the great melting pot. People came here on ships, right? I mean, from one scale to the other. In droves. That's our thing.
I mean, America actually has, just to play the devil's advocate, America has a tattered past of denying immigrants throughout the history of America. Actually, in World War II, there was a big story that was going around where like 2 million Jews were trying to come to America during the height of World War II, and we denied them access to America.
Well, there was all the way up until Pearl Harbor. There was a lot of support for the Nazi Party inside America.
There was a lot of weird shit that was going on. And the only way, because my dad is one of those people who came from a communist country into this a communist country to immigrate to America. And back in the day, you used to have a sponsor, somebody who would sponsor you in order to come to America. Now it's a lot easier. But, America really has a tattered past when it comes to immigration.
I think, like, immigration, there's always seems to be a group, whether it's the Irish, whether it's the Italians, whether it's, the Scottish, whether it's the new Germans compared to the old Germans that were here in the beginning of America. There was a lot of problem with German immigration because they weren't the right kind of Germans. In the beginning, we always seem to pick this one group of people, and we do use the same excuses, right? They're criminals, they have big families, blah, 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 blah. Religion, right? We always use these same
Catholics
kind of
don't like
tropes.
the Protestants, and Protestants don't like the
Catholics. My father's family had to bribe people, with money just to come to America,
I mean, my thing is, if we're worried about bad guys, look, I don't think that it is quite as hard to find the bad guys as they're making it sound. Shit, most of the time you're paying them. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it isn't. And for like MS-13, look, the part of the gang is that you tattoo MS-13 on your forehead. This is not like a reality that you're that hard to get a hold of. They don't want to. In fact, they'll probably let criminals by in the simple fact that they need to say, okay, there's bad guys, right? There was this violence. Well, you literally marked him as being a bad dude and let him in. But I don't see that as being the majority in any way, shape, or form. I think it's a hard problem to deal like it's a hard problem to deal with because there's all sorts of fucking issues at play. It's
I don't know. Maybe they can bring back sponsorship. You know, I mean, if the American citizens really want foreign immigrants to come, maybe we should bring back sponsorship as part of becoming an American citizen. That's kind of what happened back in the 60s, in the 50s.
You got to get your laws straight. Here's the problem. We actually have laws that set how things are supposed to be. And then we put up with this other activity and don't enforce the border and look like complete wimps when somebody walks across.
But it's an imaginary border, and imaginary things, right, normally cause these kind of problems. So it's not like, it's not by design that borders exist, right? That has to do with humans and possibly even mammals that we need to mark our territory. And this is kind of extended into our society that we're still rocking this animalistic look. I peed on the tree, so I have to be aggressive if you get near it, right? But in all reality, the lines that we see on the map, right, are completely fictitious.
That is true.
And when we try to put a morality on top of a line that you draw, right, that starts causing problems. And when that law means that the people on the other side of it, right, have less for no reason other than to be born in there. Like the chances of you being born in California to you being born in southern Mexico is what? You don't have a choice over that.
Well, yeah. About 80 years ago, there really wasn't an issue between in Southern California. We either, what? I don't even know what the hell I'm getting at.
Well, even the zoot suits and all of that stuff, it became a thing, right? We've always had this weird thing with Mexico.
Yeah.
Right, and some of that. I would say, maybe there's a little bit of animosity in Texas.
if you are living in a country that is so pathetic it won't defend its borders, you really don't have a country. That's one of the basic, principle that says is staking a claim and then you defend that claim. If you set a border and then you don't defend it, you really don't have anything.
Yeah, but at
the
same time, we don't do the
we've
same.
Had open Europe for what, 40 years now, 30 years now.
We don't do the same, Preston, as what we're doing to the southern border as we do to the northern border.
Hey, we
attacked.
No, with 10, we attacked.
I think
Canada.
I think up until 2008, all along the Great Lakes. It was optional. Whether you reported to what is it when they check your what the fuck are the papers, your passports, whether you're an American, you were a foreign citizen or not. So
whether you have a country or not has to do with who you pay taxes to. Because the border thing, you do or don't have a country. Those ideas I don't think really work out in the long term.
Okay.
Right? Because that's always been the deal, right? The kings that did that same thing, they all controlled their borders, but then, what are they now?
Well, they're gone. But it's like the indigenous. See, they didn't control their borders, and now you got what you've got. It's the same thing.
Well, if we were killed by a standing army, that would be one thing, but we were killed by disease.
Well, not completely. The same thing. Why is there, in an age of open borders when nothing means anything, why should I respect any indigenous border? What's so special just because you were there first? You say you were there first?
I wouldn't. See, that's the deal. You can live in a place. You can do your thing. It only becomes a problem when, it's not the respect for indigenous borders one way or another aren't important, right? You had to put a pipeline through their fucking house. That's where it became an issue. Like, otherwise it didn't. Like, people are fine to live next to whoever they're living next to, have their fucking culture, do their thing. There's very little difference, right, on the border towns between one country and another.
That's true. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, this is what governments do. This is what empires do. This is what anybody that claims to be a government does.
And I think
make a border
like
and you defend the border.
I don't pretend to have the answer, I guess is the thing here, right? Like, it is like we're dealing with trying to like comprehend the fact that we live inside of an empire, right? And how to both live and be a country, right? And dismantle the empire part of it at the same time, right? It's hard to balance. But I will say that no country that has ever stood firm on its border exists anymore. But those languages exist, those cultures exist, those histories exist, right? If you look at the Basque region, no matter what those borders says, never changed the people that live there. And it was France, it was Italy, it was Spain, it was this, it was that. It's part of the Moorish Empire, it's part of this empire, right? But the people there are still Basque. They still speak, right, the Basque language. They still have the Basque culture. They didn't even notice.
Well, it's like anything. It gets back to like warlords and all the rest. It's like, those guys, they defend their tribal areas, right? Just like they don't want you there. They're defending their tribal areas. They're defending their borders.
But eventually they get to the very next culture, right? The next step in whatever our culture is normally looks back on that with disdain, right? It's almost funny.
Except that it's the same thing. It's not really funny. It's the same thing you're doing now. There's nothing funny about it. They claim to be a warlord over this area. And
did somebody fall asleep?
Is Zeno zening out over there?
Uh-oh.
He's pulling a micro.
No, he's traveling the universe. He's He's doing some exploring.
Zeno.
Look, he's being galactic ruler takes a lot out of the guy. Right, like you and I don't understand exactly. I mean, the management part of that is.
Wasn't he
It's a long show.
It's a galactic dictator. That's what I thought I saw.
Bummer. Yeah, I think it is galactic dictator. But either way, it's a hard job. It's a hard job.
Yeah.
He's gonna hear this tomorrow and be like, "I can't believe you guys just kept giving me shit the whole time I was sleeping."
Zeno.
Well, it's easier for him to take the abuse now while he's asleep than when he wakes up.
It's going to be in his subconscious.
Yeah.
Hold on. Fuck Monsanto. WikiLeaks. I mean, before I think we're down to our last little bit here.
I might end the show like a half an hour early because
I was gonna say let's just stick it out for the last little bit and really look. We need every single person humanly possible to stand united for Julian at this point, right? We don't have a choice, right? This dismantling of our freedom of speech, of our freedom of the press, is probably the most important right that we have, because as soon as we can't speak out, right, that's when the mass arrests start, right?
Yeah, when they can truly get away with it in the dark.
Yeah, because nobody is going to hear it.
Then it's over. You are doomed. So.
Yeah,
we need more troopers.
I might have to end this show at 3.5 hours because in 8 minutes I'll have to end it. It's okay. So another 8 minutes and then we'll cut it off.
Oh, are we going to be able to fight through? Or he's really Son Wood. It's the sound of our voice. I will say that there are so many people that listen to our show right before they go to sleep, and they're like, "Oh, we always feel so much more calm after we listen to you guys. There's someone out there fighting for us." Close your eyes, say goodnight.
Go to sleep.
All right, guys. So let's get down to business and get the next 12 minutes, and we'll cut it off.
Yeah. Just don't fall asleep like this guy.
Yeah, don't be.
Stand up for Julian Assange. Yeah.
Look, we've been up. Like all of us have been like frantic, going from one thing or another.
There's I went to work today too, so I've been up since 6 this morning.
Yeah, and the time difference the time difference from Assange, like, just the buildup of undercovers and fucking, it's been a nightmare. And then with the arrest and trying to get that news out. And look, we're being censored, we're being shadow banned. We got to fight the corporate media and the like propaganda machine. It's hard work.
Let me kick him out of the chat. Let me kick him out of the chat.
It's taken all of it out of Zeno here.
Zeno, I mean these galactic dictator things.
It's a lot of work.
Oh God, let me kick him out of the chat.
That's the Darth Vader. He's Darth Vadering right now. He's gone to the dark side.
Wood.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Zeno.
Not. Oh, that's
sounds
hilarious.
like he's in a garbage can.
Yeah, he is sawing wood. Good on him.
Is he awake?
Nah. I imagine, you know what I mean? He's like, where you were a little kid, where you have just played all day and you come in and just like drop in the middle of the floor. That's where we've gotten.
If you have an air horn, just blow it into your microphone as hard as you can and see if that blast will.
All right, guys, we got 10 minutes.
All right.
That was 8. That was
12.
10 minutes ago.
10 minutes.
Well, we're time traveling. Oh Lord.
All right, let me kick him. Let me remove him. There you go.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's live media, guys. Enjoy. Oh,
maybe these 4-hour shows are just too much. Maybe we should go to 3.
Sawing wood. We do get a lot of information out, and there's times when stuff happens and we're on air, so I don't know. Like, it doesn't matter if there's, when we're talking, it seems like there's never enough time and too much time. There's no telling. There's certain times we'll talk about a subject and we'll go super in depth on it, and there's other times where we just, barely pass over it. So, yeah, it's for the long term. I just posted a thing a little bit ago. Like I've been doing this part of it. 2 years now. 2 years since I was on here as a guest.
Is that right?
Yeah, I took a little picture of it.
Feeling old now.
Yeah.
I was already feeling old.
We've been doing this for a while.
More than 2 years now.
Well, you guys have, but I didn't come on right away.
I was like show 4. It was going for a couple of times there before I got talked into it.
Yeah, we didn't even really know what we were doing then.
22, as we found out today.
Yeah, I was episode 22 was when I came in.
Oh, yeah, that's when I was still broadcasting from my car.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that? We were broadcasting the show from a fucking car and stolen Wi-Fi.
That's how this game got started, right? That is serious media, y'all. Right? That is how it's done. When people say, like, from humble roots, because it's pretty amazing how far we've taken this, where we can, we can compete with, like, $1 million media organizations. And it's from, like, literally, we started in the back of a car on stolen Wi-Fi.
Straight out of Compton, man.
Yeah, like, literally, though. Like literally, though. This show came from the streets. Like, when I got on the show at the time, right, Standing Rock was on fire. Like literally on fire.
Oh, yeah, it was, yeah.
So, I mean, that's where ABB came from. And it's for that we have even the opportunity to be able to stand up, and be able to speak when they're arresting our brothers and sisters in the streets. Right? That's the world we live in. We were talking in the chat behind it, and fuck, we're getting down to being like the last real news like media on the internet. That isn't corporatized, that isn't making money off of it, that doesn't have their own, game and bias on, like it's real, actual, unfucking filtered media.
No memberships, no Patreon.
Yeah, fuck Patreon and GoFundMe's and oh my God.
Yeah, I need a PayPal for this,
We got to keep the lights on. How many times have you heard that from people? You got to keep the lights on to post a live stream. You got to keep you need $1 million to research on Google.
To go on YouTube Live, yeah.
Yeah, or to call, to call somebody, you need $1 million, really? Yeah, it's amazing what they ask. Like, what media to interview a senator, you need $1 million. Seriously?
Really? No, you don't.
Yeah, I don't think you do. We do it for a lot less. Yeah. And for real, right? And for that same fact, we can't be bought. And that's the reason why you see us speaking and defending real journalism and not going along with the puppets, with the propaganda. I mean, it's super easy to see who's down and who's not. Like nowadays, it's getting more and more clear.
Yeah, I don't think even with Assange going down that doesn't really change WikiLeaks. I mean, they're still going to be a magnet for anybody that wants to get.
Oh yeah, WikiLeaks has been running without Assange for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, I mean, he's been out with but without internet and real contact for about 2 years. And we've had some. I mean, WikiLeaks had some massive stories come out from them, and those have nothing to do with him. I know they've tried to put that, that you could be communicating as a free human being when you haven't done anything wrong. No, that sounds crazy. Like he wasn't allowed to have internet or connect with anybody. They're just now charging him with something. Then why not? Why couldn't I talk to anybody I wanted? I'm not being charged with anything. Am I being detained?
Well, I mean, they're talking now. Here's where your bullshit talk is. They're talking about the rules of his asylum. It's like, hey, when you give somebody asylum and citizenship, it's like he's a citizen, man. There are no fucking rules or extra conditions.
There was some weird shit about that because he has two citizenships. He was an Ecuadorian citizen and an Australian citizen.
Yeah. Some countries make you relinquish your citizenship, and some countries don't. So I mean, you can be dual citizens, and some there's a list of countries that you can be a dual citizen to, and you can't. So I mean, that's not super odd, but I mean, it's pretty obvious that look, the Ecuadorian government was corrupt, and they got into this weird. First it was a pissing contest with the U.S. and the rest of the world, and then it became, well, now I'm scared that you're going to expose my corruption, right? And that's, I mean.
That's a problem, yeah.
And that was it, really. They were good until until it started to look like Ecuador had some corruption problems, and then we got to get rid of Assange. Obviously, he exposes corruption, and we're corrupt.
Yeah, I have to be. This is kind of how naive I am. I really didn't see that coming, and I should have, because every government is corrupt. It's like, how could you not think that? Oh, the Ecuadorians are the good guys, right? Which they were.
Well, they
were they, or they would just drag this on for 7 years?
They had a change in government, but I mean, no government is really, is really clean. They're all a little bit corrupt, right? It's just to the extent of the corruption. But I mean, even then, not a single country could step up and do the right thing.
That's the message right there. That's it. See. Yeah, nobody's going to stand up. Yeah.
The things that they disagree on are not that important. The things that they agree on are scary as hell. That's when you said the oil never stops. Doesn't matter what's going on, the oil never stops.
3 minutes, guys.
Never been
yeah, so let's use this time, guys. Post the hashtag free Assange, free Julian. Keep in touch with us. We'll be posting videos, any news we come across. We're in contact with everybody we possibly can in relation to this. We don't know how it's going to play out, but the more of the public eye that we have on it, the less amount of games that they can play. If they can get, a quick news story out there that gets everybody to look in the other direction, they will use that to do some really evil stuff, and we have to make sure that doesn't happen. We have to support real media. We have to fight against this, which is, blatant tyranny.
Well, yeah, what they're going to do is they're going to steer the narrative, and most of them are saying that, they're going to throw the book at Julian. We just can't let that narrative, influence the minds of the people that are going to be prosecuting him.
Yeah, and we have to share the truth. The information that's been leaked, the stories that they've ran, go and read them. Right? Don't take the talking head's word for anything, right? And see the things that he's calling them out about. Especially the parts in Iraq and Afghanistan, they're pissed because they didn't get to make money off of murdering any more people. Really? That's not a legitimate reason to be pissed. And as a citizen of the world, you should be happy that Assange exposed that corruption, that nightmare. Otherwise, when you came out and said, look, Barack Obama has ordered drone strikes on thousands of civilians, you didn't believe it, right? You'd argue with me about it. You tell, that didn't happen. That's conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. Oh, now you see it in black and white. Now it's real to you. But when we were telling you about it, nobody was listening, right? That's conspiracy theory. Come on. Barack Obama killing children with drones? Come on. He plays basketball.
He's a Peace Prize winner.
He's got a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
Didn't you see him singing at that inaugural award?
Hey, kudos to the guy who went out there last week to the embassy, man. That was super cool.
Yeah.
I don't know who you were. You know, thanks Tyler and all that for all that.
Right now he's suspended on Twitter. He's at Lulzmouse, just like it's spelled LULZMOUSE. You know, give him props for going out to the embassy. He was one of the first activists that were on the scene this week before all the report. You know, well, it was after Ruptly, but you know, before all the other activists that had come on. You know, he was one of the first on the playing field. He's a good sport. We will be back, next week at 7 o'clock Pacific time. We're ending the show a little early. Most of our panel has fallen asleep.
We're in it for the long haul, man. We're in it for the long haul.
4-hour show. It's a 4-hour show.
I don't know. Do we have any guests for next week? I don't have anybody planned. Do you?
I've got a couple of people in the works, but it's always, with everything that's going on here, we'll just kind of keep an ear out and see. We always have people asking to come on. It's just whether the what's going on in the news fits what our guest is going to be.
All right, and then
so let's go with them. That's a maybe.
Maybe. All right, and with that, we'll roll out the credits, and we'll be back next week.
Dun 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 dun.
All right.
I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly. I order all those assembled to immediately